Chapter 45-60. He wanted to take this opportunity to wander around in this mysterious and vast space. This place was a perfect treasure trove for him. If he walked around, it was very likely that he would come across some unexpected surprises. However, as he was worried at the beginning, this place may have surprises, but it was more likely that there would only be surprises and no surprises. If he really encountered an unpredictable danger, Lin Yi may not be able to cope with it with his early nascent soul stage strength. After all, if there really was something in this place, no matter how he thought about it, its strength was unlikely to be worse than the West Mountain Old Master. "Senior, I plan to look around this place for a while, what do you think?" Lin Yi asked the ghost. This wasn't just his problem, and if he were to do things his own way and cause trouble, the ghost would be dragged into it as well. He wouldn't be able to live with that. What's more, in this place, the ghostly thing's perception of unpredictable danger was far stronger than Lin Yi's own. Only with its full help could Lin Yi have the confidence to walk around. Otherwise, it was equivalent to a blind man entering the mountain, no different from courting death. "Hee, I know you can't stay here for long. It's really boring to blindly cultivate here. Going too far is as bad as falling short, and it would be a waste of time. It's good to explore a little here. To be honest, I'm really quite interested in this place." The ghostly thing readily agreed. "Senior, you can't be thinking of looking for that flood dragon, right?" Lin Yi couldn't help but laugh. Although he speculated that the previous eyewitness reports were mostly wrong about the 5 elements of killing intent, this was only speculation after all. After all, there was still a possibility that it existed. The world was so big that nothing was too strange. Things that were previously thought to be impossible often happened in the end. Lin Yi had seen this kind of example many times. Jia, if there really is a flood dragon here, then it's not a good thing for you and me. You better pray that you don't encounter it, otherwise you'll become food for others." The ghostly thing curled its lips. It can't be, after all, it's a branch of the same race as Senior. It can't be that it doesn't recognize its own kin, right? Lin Yi couldn't help but shrink his neck. Branch of the same race? The ghostly thing suddenly laughed and said disapprovingly, "You humans are completely the same race. Didn't they still kill each other? Besides, we spirit beasts adhere to the principle of being more powerful than you humans. If I came here in my peak condition, worm dragons and whatnot would be considered my kind, but in my current state, even if I'm from the same clan, I'll only be treated as food. Well, I hope I'm not that unlucky." Lin Yi smiled bitterly. However, he still called out to the spirit bird and walked towards the unknown area in front of him. At this moment, he was thinking that if he really encountered some terrifying existence, then he could only quickly escape from the 5-poison swamp regardless of the cost. Even if he was chased by the West Mountain Old Sect, it was still better than directly becoming the rations of the spirit beasts. "Don't worry, you don't have to worry even if you really encounter that flood dragon. No matter what, I'm still the former Azure Dragon Elder. I don't dare to say much about other things, but at least you can choose whether you want it steamed or braised. I'm sure you'll give me face." The ghostly thing teased. "You dragons also know how to cook. You're really not simple." Lin Yi rolled his eyes speechlessly. Carefully guarding against everything in front of him, he began to explore this vast and mysterious underground space for the first time. However, although he said so, Lin Yi's heart was not as nervous as he appeared to be. After all, with the ghostly thing and the jade pendant as a double warning guarantee, no matter what happened, there would always be a little time to react. Moreover, now that the spirit bird's strength had greatly increased, its speed was more than 10 times faster. Although its other talents and potential were not high, the spirit bird's speed was among the top of the flying spirit beasts, absolutely not to be underestimated. Unless it was like the West Mountain Old Sect who locked onto it with their divine sense and directly descended, it was really unlikely that an ordinary existence could catch up to it. With such layers of protection, Lin Yi's heart could be said to be nervous and confident. One man and one bird gradually explored in this mysterious and vast space. However, after walking for a whole 2 days, from beginning to end, they did not encounter any living creatures at all. Not to mention terrifying existences like the flood dragon, they did not even see a single insect. The richness of the spiritual energy in this space was rare in the world. If it was any other place, it would be a gathering of spirit beasts and heavenly treasures could be seen everywhere. However, because of the 5 poison swamp, this place unexpectedly became a dead land. There were no spirit beasts, no wild beasts, not even a plant. After exploring for a whole 2 days, Lin Yi saw the same scene from beginning to end. Other than the towering stone pillars and high platforms everywhere, this place was simply an uninhabited desert. It was empty and there was nothing. Faced with this result, Lin Yi could not help but sigh in relief, but he could not help but feel a little disappointed. Although he was not a greedy person, this place was after all, a treasure land made in heaven for him. Originally, he more or less thought that there would be some unexpected gains, otherwise, he would not have taken the risk to explore. But looking at the current situation, there was no gain at all. At most, he could only comfort himself that there was no danger. Since it was clearly an uninhabited desert, should he continue to explore? Lin Yi couldn't help but hesitate. He didn't want to do something that was obviously a waste of time, but he couldn't just give up like this. Although he had seen the same wasteland for the past 2 days, who knew if the other places were the same? What if it wasn't? I will explore for another day. If it is still like this, then forget it. It is better to save time and cultivate. Lin Yi finally made up his mind. If he did not see any changes after 3 days, then there was no point in continuing to explore. Even if there was really a hidden opportunity here, it could only be said that fate was not in his hands. Nothing could be forced, and there was nothing he could do about it. After saying that, Lin Yi jumped onto the back of the spirit bird. For the past 2 days, he had been walking on the ground out of caution, but now he had a general idea of this space. Moreover, he only planned to explore for 1 more day. Lin Yi did not intend to dawdle on the ground anymore. With the spirit bird's speed in the air, the area that they could explore in 1 day was hundreds or thousands of times more than before. If there was really something in this space, Lin Yi believed that 1 day was enough. Chapter 45-61. Of course, even so, the speed of the spirit bird was not that slow. After all, even if it only used 10% of its speed, it was already much faster than when it went all out. In less than half an hour, the human and the bird had explored a much larger area than the previous 2 days combined. Stop, there seems to be something in front. The ghost thing suddenly said. Really? Lin Yi was shocked and hurriedly stopped the spirit bird. He was nervous and excited. After being silent and bored for more than 2 days, the fear at the beginning had long been replaced by excitement. Now, he could not wait to encounter something. Of course it's true, but it's too far away now. Even with my divine sense, I can only vaguely sense the existence of something, and I'm sure it's alive. However, I don't know whether it's a spirit beast or a human cultivator. The ghost thing muttered. Why is there a human cultivator in this place? Lin Yi was stunned. Subconsciously, if there was something in this place, it must be a spirit beast, such as the dragon mentioned before. Why would a human cultivator appear here inexplicably? Hey! What right do you have to say that? Aren't you a living human cultivator yourself? The ghost thing snorted and curled its lips. Although I said that a freak like you who has all 5 elements is hard to find in this world, there's always someone better than you. It's not surprising to see 1 or 2 of you. Well, it's not impossible. Then, Senior, quickly check carefully. Is it a spirit beast or a human cultivator? Lin Yi could only pinch his nose and smile bitterly. That's easy. Let the spirit bird move a little closer, but not too close. It's best if I can detect it and it can't detect me, the ghost thing instructed. It was very confident in its divine sense. Even if the other party was really a dragon, it could not detect further than him. Therefore, as long as he controlled the distance, it was not difficult to achieve this. Okay. Lin Yi immediately let the spirit bird move forward, but this time, it was much slower. He was practically inching forward bit by bit. Otherwise, if he inched too much, he might be noticed by the other party. This went on for a while. Lin Yi and the spirit bird, who weren't too nervous at first, were startled by this strange atmosphere. It didn't matter if it was humans or spirit beasts, they were afraid of the unknown. If it was a dragon in front of them, they wouldn't be so nervous. After a while, the ghostly thing suddenly made a sound of surprise. Lin Yi's nerves tightened and he quickly asked, "What's wrong?" "It's really strange. Why does this aura feel so familiar?" The ghostly thing muttered in surprise. Familiar? Could it really be that flood dragon? Lin Yi couldn't help but speculate. In his opinion, the only aura that could make the ghost feel familiar was the flood dragon. Previously, he thought that the so-called eyewitness reports were just people misreading the 5 elements murderous aura, but he didn't expect it to be true. Not sure. The ghostly thing paused for a moment and said, "This feeling shouldn't be as simple as being of the same race. However, I can be sure that the other party is of the dragon race, but whether it is a flood dragon or not, I don't know." "How can it be?" "Senior, you should be able to see it clearly with your divine sense, right?" Lin Yi asked curiously. In theory, the things that divine sense could perceive were much clearer than the normal 5 senses, so it was normal that others couldn't see it. However, whether the other party was a flood dragon or not should be known at a glance. "Kid, you think too easily. Previously, when West Mountain Old Sect Master was chasing you, I could block his divine sense. On the other hand, other existences naturally have a way to block my divine sense perception. It's just that the difficulty is extremely high, and it's not that easy." The ghostly thing smiled bitterly. "In that case, Senior, your divine sense has been blocked by it. Could it be that it has already noticed?" Lin Yi was suddenly shocked. It was not good news to be discovered before he could figure out the other party's details. Not really. However, after reaching a certain level, whether it is you human cultivators or us spirit beasts, we will habitually release a divine sense protective cover. In this way, it can prevent other people's divine sense from peeping. If this divine sense protective cover is high enough, even with my ability, it will be difficult to penetrate it from a long distance. At most, I can only sense the general aura, but it is difficult to know the specific situation inside unless I directly break the other party's divine sense protective cover. However, this will alert the enemy." The ghostly thing gave Lin Yi some common sense. "So that's how it is. Then what should we do now?" Lin Yi asked. Listening to the ghostly thing's tone, he knew that the other party was definitely not a simple character. Maybe it was a top-level spirit beast. Provoking such an existence in this place was definitely asking for trouble. It was very likely that he would not even be able to escape. "Kid, if you have the courage, then continue forward. I am quite interested in this guy, but I have to say the ugly words first. Even if this guy is of the same kind as the Dragon Clan, it is difficult to say whether it will buy my account or not. I may not be able to protect you, so you have to think carefully before you speak. To be safe, we will directly turn back the way we came. In any case, it can't detect us now." The ghostly thing said calmly, leaving the choice to Lin Yi. Curiosity not only killed the cat, but it also killed people. It was impossible for Lin Yi not to understand this principle. After thinking for a moment, he decided, let's continue forward and see. If I don't find out what the other party is, I can't continue to stay in this place with peace of mind. After all, the most important thing in cultivation is to be impatient. If I don't solve this problem, I will have to give up this rare cultivation treasure land. So, no matter what, I have to try. Tisk tsk, it's good that you have this awareness. I thought you would be a tortoise hiding in its shell. Oh, no, it should be an ostrich that buries its head in the sand. The ghostly thing laughed. Ostrich. Lin Yi was instantly speechless. He could not help but secretly criticize the ghostly thing in his heart. This guy went to the secular world, but he did not find the bloodline of the king of spirit beasts. Instead, he learned a bunch of new words. Even in this state, he still has the mood to learn these things. As expected, his mind is strong even if he is disabled. After making his decision, Lin Yi immediately continued forward with the spirit bird at the same slow speed as before. Although he had already made up his mind to find out what the other party was, the ideal situation was to not let the other party detect them first. After all, this was the only way to ensure his safety. He thought that the ghost had connected their divine senses and deliberately let him see who the other party was. It's okay. As long as I break its divine sense barrier, I'll know everything I need to know, the ghostly thing said, and then began to sink its mind, trying to penetrate the opponent's divine sense barrier. Lin Yi was about to nod his head, but before the ghostly thing could finish speaking, a deafening roar suddenly came from dozens of miles ahead. Immediately, the target that had been locked on by the divine sense flew towards Lin Yi at a rapid speed. Its speed was so fast that it made one's scalp tingle. Although Lin Yi had not seen the spiritual bird's extreme speed, his intuition told him that the other party's speed could easily kill the spiritual bird. Could it have sensed it? Lin Yi suddenly felt nervous. He had never thought that such a situation would occur. The other party could actually detect him, who was also protected by divine sense, before the ghostly thing could break its divine sense barrier. Didn't this mean that the other party's divine sense foundation was weaker than the ghostly thing's? That's definitely not too far off. What kind of fucking level is this existence? Of course, isn't it obvious? The ghostly thing smiled bitterly. Originally, it was confident that no one would notice it. Who knew that Lin Yi's divine sense would also come to join in the fun? If the other party's divine sense barrier was compared to a door, the ghostly thing should have used a master key to quietly enter. However, because of Lin Yi's interference, it forcibly broke through the door. It would be strange if the other party could not even detect it. However, the ghostly thing could not do anything. Although it would take a lot of risk to be discovered by the other party, in comparison, it was more important not to disturb Lin Yi's divine sense awakening. In its opinion, as long as Lin Yi was unwilling to give up this cultivation treasure land, he would have to deal with the other party sooner or later anyway. It was not a big deal to be discovered. What will come sooner or later. Let's take a good look at this guy's Lushan Mountain. Lin Yi quickly calmed down, and his whole body surged with fighting spirit. Since entering here, he had not had a chance to fight. Now was the right time to test how strong he was as an early nascent soul stage cultivator. Even if he knew that he was no match for the ghostly thing, he would do his best to find out where his limits were. Hee, your courage is not bad, but I think your fighting spirit is a bit of a waste. The ghostly thing suddenly laughed, and its originally somewhat nervous tone also became relaxed. Huh? What do you mean? Lin Yi looked puzzled. Before he could figure out what was going on, his divine sense had automatically retracted into his body. So unless the other party entered his line of sight, he would not be able to see the other party's face no matter how close they were. Hee, kid, didn't you also feel that the other party's aura is a bit familiar and strange? Let me tell you, this guy is indeed an old friend, your old friend. The ghostly thing laughed. My old friend? Lin Yi immediately became even more confused. He did not know many spirit beasts, and even the number of spirit beasts in the secular world and the heavenly stage island could be counted on one hand. Previously, he had encountered the great fire lion and the big spider in the Audwa cultivation city ruins. Could it be them again this time? No way. Roar, roar, roar. While Lin Yi was in a daze, the other party had already arrived in front of him with a loud roar. At this distance, he did not even need to use his divine sense to sense it, and could even see it clearly with his naked eye. Its entire body exuded a terrifying murderous aura that was close to materialization, causing one to be unable to breathe. It was estimated to be at least 10 meters long, with 4 thick and sturdy claws, a long tail full of sharpness, a pair of huge wings on both sides of its back, and a row of extremely hard and sharp sword-like spikes in the center. It was a ghastly sight. It was simply like a dinosaur that walked out of the Jurassic period. 5 Evils Dragon? How come it's you? Lin Yi blurted out in shock. He never would have thought that he'd meet this old friend of his from the common world here. It's actually you, a human cultivator? The 5 Evils Dragon also recognized Lin Yi at once. It seemed to be surprised and happy, and the baleful aura and killing intent on its body immediately dissipated. It had thought that some powerful enemy had come to attack, but it did not expect it to be such an old friend. Chapter 45-63. Lin Yi and the Dragon of 5 Evils were not old friends. It would be more accurate to say that they were enemies. However, coming to Heaven Island from the mortal world was like meeting an old friend from 1,000 miles away. Even if they were not old friends, they were now. This could be seen from the Dragon of 5 Evils' happy expression. Whoosh! Roar! You human cultivators can come here, so can I. However, I did not expect you to come to a place like this, and you are already a nascent soul cultivator. You are not simple. The Dragon of 5 Evils could not hide its surprise. Lin Yi's body was full of battle intent, and he did not hide his strength at all. Naturally, he could tell at a glance. Yes, I also did not expect to meet you in a place like this. The things in this world are really unexpected. Lin Yi laughed. Ho ho, don't you humans have a saying, enemies don't meet unless they're enemies? To be honest, if I were to meet you like this under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be so friendly even if I didn't beat you to death on the spot. I still remember how you ruined my plans. The Dragon of 5 Evils made a very human-like expression. It was a strange expression on a dinosaur's face. Oh. What about now? Lin Yi asked with interest. Now? Sigh. The Dragon of 5 Evils let out a long sigh and almost spat at Lin Yi. It sighed and said, I am too lonely in this place. Don't mention a living creature, I can't even see a single plant. It is all barren, and I cannot see the sun. If it were you impetuous humans, you would have gone crazy long ago. However, I do not dare to go out. It is rare for me to see someone, and it is an old acquaintance from the mortal world. Of course, I am happy. So, don't worry, I will not harm you. Huh, that is good. To be honest, I entered this place by chance and am trapped here. But why can't you go out? Could it be that you cannot withstand the pressure of this swamp? The killing intent of the 5 elements should have no effect on you, right? Lin Yi asked curiously. He knew that the Dragon of 5 Evils was the same as him. It also had the 5 elements. In theory, it should be able to withstand the killing intent of the 5 elements. Roar, do you think this swamp can trap me? The Dragon of 5 Evils immediately laughed out loud. It did not directly answer Lin Yi's question. Instead, it suddenly opened the pair of huge wings on its back. With a gentle flap, its huge body instantly soared into the sky. Lin Yi's eyelids twitched when he saw this. Even at such a close distance, he was unable to sense any powerful airflow. However, the Dragon of 5 Evils was able to reach a speed so fast that it was difficult for the naked eye to capture it. This was enough to prove that the Dragon of 5 Evils had reached the point of perfection in its control. If it were to unleash its full power, its speed would be far greater than before. Even the spirit bird would not be able to catch up to it. It was too terrifying. Lin Yi could not help but feel a little absent-minded. As far as he knew, the 5 Evils dragon was not a spiritual beast that was known for its speed. Now that it had suddenly displayed such a shocking skill, it was truly inconceivable. However, this was nothing. The speed displayed by the Dragon of 5 Evils only caused Lin Yi to be absent-minded. However, what it did next in the 5 Poison Swamp caused even someone as calm as Lin Yi's jaw to drop. He was unable to say anything for a long time. Strictly speaking, the Dragon of Five Evils did not do anything special after jumping into the five-poisoned swamp above its head. It only leisurely swam around the five-poisoned swamp. This in itself was not strange. After all, like Lin Yi, it possessed all five elements. The five elemental killing intent would not attack Lin Yi's body, which was protected by his qi. Naturally, it would not attack the Dragon of Five Evils either. However, what caused Lin Yi to be dumbfounded was that when the Dragon of Five Evils suddenly released the powerful aura hidden within its body, the five elemental killing intent that was constantly roaming around its body suddenly scattered in all directions. The five-poisoned swamp was the territory of the five elemental killing intent. However, at this moment, where the Dragon of Five Evils was, there was not a single trace of the five elemental killing intent within a radius of several miles. All of the five elemental killing intent had fled on their own. The five elemental killing intent was not a living thing. It did not have any thoughts or consciousness. However, even if it was just a pure killing intent, after condensing to such a degree, it would inevitably develop a trace of intelligence. Therefore, when faced with an existence that was far above it, it would take the initiative to flee. However, the strongest of the five elemental killing intents gave Lin Yi a pressure that was no weaker than that of the spirit beast guards that he had seen earlier. How could such a terrifying existence be frightened to such an extent by the Dragon of Five Evils? Feeling the huge pressure that was emitted from the five-poisoned swamp layer above his head, the overwhelming feeling of a fiend god descending on earth, immediately shocked Lin Yi. Although he was far from such a level, he could at least see that the current Dragon of Five Evils was definitely far above the mountain opening period. The West Mountain Elder, who was known as the Mountain Opening Period Evil Cultivator, was simply insignificant in front of the Dragon of Five Evils. Even the three giants of the Morning Star Academy in the East Continent that Lin Yi had seen before were far inferior to it. They were not on the same level at all. What kind of strength is this? Lin Yi swallowed his saliva with difficulty and looked at the Dragon of Five Evils above his head with a face full of shock. Earth opening period. The ghostly thing pretended to be indifferent as it explained. However, at this moment, even its tone carried a rare hint of shock that was difficult to conceal. The Dragon of Five Evils in front of it was completely different from the one that he had seen in the secular world. If it had not been confirmed just now, the ghostly thing would definitely not have equated the two of them. It would only have thought that it had seen the ancestor of the Dragon of Five Evils in the secular world. After all, the difference in strength between them was more than 108,000 miles. How long had it been? It had not even been 2 years. The fact that Lin Yi could grow from the initial foundation establishment stage to the current original infant stage was already very exaggerated and shocking in itself. However, the Dragon of Five Evils had unexpectedly become an existence of the Earth opening period. In front of it, Lin Yi could not even be counted as a small sorcerer in the presence of a great sorcerer. Had the world gone crazy? Earth opening period? Lin Yi was momentarily confused. Although it was the first time he had heard of this term, he could tell that it was not a trivial matter just by hearing the name. The realm above the mountain opening period is the Earth opening period. Those who can reach this level are considered to have great magical powers. The ghostly thing explained lightly. Upon hearing this, Lin Yi suddenly understood. The Dragon of Five Evils was indeed in existence above the mountain opening period. This trip to the South Continent was really not in vain. Even if he did not mention the various fortuitous encounters and the sharp increase in strength, his horizons were much broader than before. Chapter 45-64. While they were talking, the Dragon of Five Evils suddenly descended from the sky. It was so fast that Lin Yi was shocked. The Dragon of Five Evils stared at Lin Yi and said in surprise, "Roar, another old acquaintance." Although the ghostly thing and Lin Yi were communicating through divine sense, they did not deliberately shield their divine sense fluctuations. It was not surprising that the Dragon of Five Evils sensed it. After all, it had seen the ghostly thing in the secular world, so it had a deep impression of its divine sense. When it saw the ghostly thing in the secular world, it was so scared that it trembled as if it was treading on thin ice. However, it was now at the earth-opening stage. After sensing the ghostly thing's existence, although it was a little surprised, it was not as fearful as before. After all, it was now at a very high level. No matter how terrifying and powerful the existence was, it would at most be afraid of it, but it would not be in awe. Not bad, you've made a lot of progress in the past 2 years. The ghostly thing laughed and suddenly appeared next to Lin Yi. Of course, it was still a cloud of black fog. They had crossed paths in the secular world before, and the Dragon of 5 Evils was also a member of the Dragon clan to him. Now that the Dragon of 5 Evils had made it clear that it was not hostile to him, there was no harm in revealing itself. After all, although the Dragon of 5 Evils was a spiritual beast with high spiritual intelligence, it was simple and honest in nature. It did not hold back its evil intentions like human cultivators. Huh! The Dragon of 5 Evils stared at the black fog in front of it and could not help but be surprised. You are in the form of a primordial spirit, and you have the aura of our dragon clan. Although it had met the ghostly thing in the secular world, it did not show itself directly at that time. It only felt the overwhelming pressure of the ghostly thing, and did not know that the ghostly thing was only an incomplete primordial spirit. I am a dragon clan. Speaking of this, why do I feel that your aura is a little different from before? Why does it seem to have the aura of a flood dragon? And how did your strength suddenly increase so much? The ghostly thing was also puzzled. It did not feel this way before when it was far away, but now it was close at hand. He could clearly sense the slight change in the other party's aura. Even though he had never seen a flood dragon before, all dragons were originally one, so he naturally knew that this slight change was actually the aura of a flood dragon. It's a long story. The penta-fiendish dragon was hesitant to reveal the inside story. However, after a moment's thought, he said, "Forget it. I don't have anything to do anyway. Both of you came from the secular world, so you probably don't know much about this world. I'll just tell you about it." Complain? When Lin Yi heard this, a strange expression appeared on his face. The 5 Evils dragon was a ferocious and terrifying super-spiritual beast. Moreover, it was a high and mighty existence of the earth-opening realm. Now, it said that it wanted to complain to him and the ghost. This kind of thing was really strange. This 5 poison swamp was originally the territory of a flood dragon. Its name was the 5 poison flood dragon, the 5 fiends dragon said slowly. What? There's really a flood dragon? The ghost could not help but be surprised. It had previously spent a lot of effort to investigate this place, but in the end, it did not find anything suspicious. Especially after seeing the flood dragon's 5 elements murderous chi, it thought that the previous eyewitness reports had mistaken the 5 elements murderous chi. It did not expect that this matter was actually true. Of course it's true. When I first came up from the secular world, I was directly transported to this 5 poison swamp. At first, I also thought that there were no spiritual beasts in this place. I did not expect that a powerful clan like the 5 poison flood dragon was entrenched here, the 5 fiends dragon said. You were transported here from the beginning? Could it be that all spirit beasts were teleported to this place? Isn't that very dangerous? Lin Yi could not help but be surprised. Apart from him and the Dragon of 5 Evils, this place was a place of certain death for the other spirit beasts. Any one of the 5 elemental killing intents could easily take their lives. Furthermore, there were countless 5 elemental killing intents gathered in this place. Even the most powerful of existences would not be able to withstand it. That's not it. The fact that it was transported here should be due to its attribute. If it did not possess all 5 elements, it would not have been transported here, the ghost explained. That seems to be the case. In any case, I was the only one transported here. I was caught off guard and fell from the 5 poison swamp to this place. However, even though my strength was low at the time, I did not suffer any injuries. The 5 fiends dragon looked at the ghost and was slightly surprised that it knew so much. However, it did not ask any questions and continued. After I descended, I encountered the 5-poison flood dragon here. Seeing that I was from the same clan, not only did it not harm me, but it also took me in as a disciple and brought me along to cultivate. In that case, your luck is quite good. Lin Yi could not help but sigh when he heard this. According to what the ghostly thing had said before, even the dragon clan might not necessarily be so friendly with each other. If their strength was about the same, they might mind their own business. However, if there was a huge disparity in strength, then the weak would very likely become food for the strong. The law of the jungle had always been the law of the jungle. Who would have thought that this 5-venoms flood dragon would treat the 5-venoms dragon differently? It had to be said that the 5-venoms dragon was extremely lucky. It's not just luck. I can more or less guess what the 5-poison flood dragon is thinking. The ghost laughed and speculated, our dragon clan has always been small. Even if we are not friendly with each other, under normal circumstances, we will not kill each other without any scruples like the other spirit beasts. Moreover, there are only a few dragon clan that can safely enter the 5-poison swamp. Aside from the 5-poison flood dragon, the 5-poison flood dragon might be the only one that can do so. Therefore, the 5-poison flood dragon must be eager to hunt. If it does not take the 5-poison flood dragon as a disciple, it is very likely that it will never have a disciple in its lifetime. That's right. My master said the same thing. Moreover, it has cultivated here alone for many years. It is rare for me to talk to it, so how could it kill me? Roar. As the 5-poison flood dragon spoke, it looked at the ghost in surprise. Why does it feel like this guy knows everything like the back of its hand? Who is it? What happened after that? That's right, why don't I see your master here? Could it be that he went out to do something? Lin Yi continued to ask. He had actually stayed here for a long time. However, he had not seen either the 5-poison flood dragon or the 5-poison flood dragon. It could only be said that the underground space was not small. If he had not searched around on the spirit bird, he would have thought that there was no one here. Chapter 45-65. Dead? Both Lin Yi and the ghost were shocked at the same time. Even the 5-bane dragon was at earth opening level, and the 5-poison Jiao dragon, as its master, had to be even stronger. A super spirit beast of that level couldn't even die easily, let alone be killed by a human. How did it die so suddenly? One day, there was a special sound transmission from the spirit beasts in the sky above the entire South Island, saying that Elder Azure Dragon had been missing for several years, and there had been no news of him until now. No one knew whether he was dead or alive. Now that the new king of spirit beasts had succeeded the throne, the position of Elder Azure Dragon, as his right-hand man, naturally couldn't be left vacant. Therefore, the king decided to hold an open selection for the new Elder Azure Dragon. There was a minimum requirement for registration, and that is, the strength of the dragon clan must be above the sea-splitting stage, the dragon of 5 evils said from the beginning. The sea-splitting stage? Lin Yi was stunned. Another new stage that he did not understand. Above the earth-opening stage is the sea-splitting stage. If you want to become a top-notch elder of the Spirit Beast clan, the sea-splitting stage is the basic requirement. Otherwise, you won't be able to subdue so many arrogant and powerful spirit beasts. Even the prestige of the dragon clan won't be enough. Even the spirit beasts of your own clan may not be able to subdue them, let alone other clans, the ghostly thing explained. I see. Lin Yi's eyes lit up. He had been guessing what the ghost was at its peak. From the mysterious ascending stage to the mountain opening stage and then the earth opening stage, he had guessed almost all of them. But now, he had a general idea. It should be the sea-splitting stage, or even higher. It was terrifying just thinking about it. So, your master, the 5-poison Jiao Dragon, is going to participate in the selection for the new Elder Azure Dragon? The ghost turned to the dragon of 5 evils and asked. Yes, my master is qualified. Although he doesn't show himself, he is not completely pure. he still has some ambitions. This time, he has a chance to become the new Elder Azure Dragon. Of course, he won't let it go. Besides, with his strength, he has a high chance of winning. If nothing goes wrong, this position will be his. The Dragon of Five Evils said. Although I've never seen this Five Poisons Flood Dragon before, with its powerful talents of all five elements, ordinary spirit beasts would find it difficult to defeat it. Even if it were of the same level, it would have a higher chance of winning, the ghostly thing commented. Lin Yi nodded. Since even that ghostly thing had such an evaluation, it meant that this Five Poison Flood Dragon indeed had the strength to challenge the new Azure Dragon Elder. He couldn't help but ask, what happened after that? Could it be that there's a dragon spirit beast that's more powerful than your master among the participants? No. The Dragon of Five Evils shook its head decisively. No. Were you there during the selection? Lin Yi was puzzled. I wasn't there. With my strength back then, I could easily become food for other spirit beasts if I went out. Not to mention, at the sea-splitting stage, I've already reached the acme of perfection. If I didn't have enough strength, I wouldn't have been able to see anything. Instead, I would have been easily killed by the aftermath. That's why my master didn't bring me along during the selection. The Dragon of Five Evils shook its head. Then why did your master? Lin Yi didn't finish the sentence. If the five-poisoned serpent was really that strong, and yet it didn't become the new green dragon elder and died instead. There had to be a lot more to it. My master told me this after he escaped. He was full of confidence when he went to compete for the position of the new Azure Dragon Elder. However, he didn't expect that the Vermilion Bird Elder who was in charge of this matter had already chosen a candidate. The so-called open selection was just a formality. It was a pity that although the candidates they had selected were also very strong, in the end, my master, who had appeared out of nowhere, was a cut above them. Seeing that the situation had spiraled out of control. After the situation went out of control, the Vermilion Bird Elder secretly poisoned my master. As a result, my master was caught off guard and was seriously injured. He desperately escaped back to the five-poison swamp. The Dragon of Five Evils said through gritted teeth. Oh. Since he was able to escape back here, even the Vermilion Bird Elder should be helpless against him. How did he die? The ghostly thing suddenly asked. The five-poison swamp could only be entered by spirit beasts or human cultivators who possessed all five elements. So far, there were only three ghostly things that could enter. They were the five-poison flood dragon, the Dragon of Five Evils, and Lin Yi. Apart from them, no matter how strong they were, they couldn't enter. Not to mention the Vermilion Bird, even if it was at its peak, it wouldn't be able to do anything. Therefore, this was a natural shelter. In theory, as long as it could escape back, it would be absolutely safe. No matter how strong the Vermilion Bird Elder was, it wouldn't be able to do anything. Although my master barely managed to escape, he was already seriously injured and was on the verge of death. He couldn't rely on himself to heal himself. However, the Vermilion Bird Elder had sent people to guard the swamp, so it wasn't realistic for him to find someone to help him escape. In the end, he could only accept his fate and forcefully pass on his powerful strength to me. That's why my strength increased so quickly. Unfortunately, my master's injuries were too serious. At that time, I hadn't received all of the inheritance when he was already on the verge of death. When the Dragon of Five Evils said this, the majestic Earth-opening stage super-existence couldn't stop its eyes from turning red. Although it was a ferocious and powerful spirit beast, it was far more affectionate than an ordinary human. The five-poison flood dragon was not only its master, but also its loving father. It was the only warmth it had felt since arriving at the Heaven Stage Island. Especially when it had passed on all of its strength to it, even its own son couldn't do anything. Men didn't easily shed tears, and the five-poison flood dragon had never known what tears were. However, the death of the five-poison flood dragon made it taste tears for the first time in its life. Lin Yi couldn't help but be speechless when he saw this. He didn't expect the 5-poison flood dragon to die because of this. He then subconsciously glanced at the ghost east and thought to himself, although the 5-poison flood dragon was strong, if they were to really compare, it was likely that the ghost, the former azure dragon, was stronger. If the 5-poison flood dragon had been replaced with the ghost, it would have been able to escape to the 5-poison swamp in the form of a primordial spirit. In the future, there would have been a chance for it to make a comeback. Of course, this kind of heaven-defying ability was probably unique in the world. After all, the primordial spirit was attached to the physical body. Once the physical body died, no matter how strong the primordial spirit was, it would become water without a source or a tree without roots. In the end, it could only gradually wither away, and could not continue to exist like this ghostly thing. Chapter 45-66. The baleful aura on its body poured out without restraint, causing the entire 5-poison swamp to churn violently. As for Lin Yi, who was very close to it, he almost suffered internal injuries. Fortunately, his strength had risen sharply recently. Otherwise, if he had been accidentally killed by the agitated 5-poisons dragon, he would not have been able to die in peace. That bastard vermilion bird actually dared to do such a thing. This is intolerable. Once I recover my strength, I'll definitely be the first to tear it apart. The ghostly being was also fuming with rage. As the former azure dragon, it could be said to be the undisputed leader of the dragon tribe. Now that it heard that an important member of the dragon tribe, the 5-poison serpent, had been killed by the vermilion bird, it wanted nothing more than to fight the vermilion bird to the death. The dragon of 5 evils was still immersed in grief and rage. When it heard the ghostly thing's words, it suddenly froze. It looked at the ghostly thing with an inquisitive gaze. It had been wondering about the ghostly thing's identity from the very beginning. From the way it spoke, it seemed like it could even deal with the vermilion bird at its peak. 5 evils kid, do you know who I am? The ghostly thing suddenly asked the 5 evils dragon. Aren't you just a primordial spirit from the mortal world? The 5 fiends dragon could not help but ask in surprise. A primordial spirit from the mortal world? Do you think a place with such thin spiritual chi in the secular world would have a single primordial spirit appear out of nowhere? The ghostly thing curled its lips and snorted before revealing its identity. To tell you the truth, I am the azure dragon elder who has been missing for many years. Ah. Your elder azure dragon? How was this possible? Then how did you end up like this? The dragon of 5 evils was extremely shocked upon hearing this. Even its master, the 5-poison flood dragon, was unable to become an elder of the azure dragon in the end. Although there was a reason for this, it felt that the previous azure dragon had to have been an extremely terrifying top-notch spirit beast. How could he only have a broken primordial spirit? I can't explain it in 1 or 2 sentences, so let's put it simply. I only ended up like this because I wanted to go to the secular world. I can only struggle at death's door. Otherwise, I wouldn't have allowed that bastard vermilion bird to act so unscrupulously. The ghostly thing smiled bitterly. The dragon of 5 evils was completely stunned. A pair of huge eyes were filled with disbelief as they sized up the ghostly thing from head to toe. But the inside information was enough for it to digest for a while. After a moment of silence, the dragon of 5 evils suddenly prostrated on the ground and bowed respectfully to the ghostly thing in the unique way of the dragon clan. The dragon of 5 evils pays respect to senior azure dragon. If it was someone else, the dragon of 5 evils wouldn't have believed them so easily. However, it had interacted with them in the mortal world before, and it also sensed the aura of a senior from the same clan from this ghostly thing. Previously, when they were in the secular world, due to their low cultivation, the 5 malice dragons only knew that the other party was far stronger than them. Apart from that, it was completely clueless about everything else. However, this time, it was already at the earth-opening stage. At such a close distance, it could clearly feel the faint ancient aura of the dragon clan on the ghostly thing. Even when it was angry just now, even it was trembling. There was only one explanation for this. Even if the ghostly thing in front of it was not the Azure Dragon Elder, it must be an experienced senior of the Dragon Clan. Since it was a senior of the Dragon Clan, the ghostly thing's words were naturally trustworthy. But then again, there was no need for the ghostly thing to lie to it. After all, it was meaningless. The Dragon of Five Evils wouldn't really obey the other party just because it was the former Azure Dragon Elder. At most, it would be more respectful. Get up. I'm no longer the Azure Dragon Elder. If you call me Senior Azure Dragon, people will think that you're an accomplice of that bastard Vermilion Bird. The ghostly thing sighed and laughed. You should call me Senior Ghost like Lin Yi does. Yes, Senior Ghost. The Dragon of Five Evils quickly changed its address. Then, it looked at Lin Yi and couldn't help but ask, I was wondering why you guys came to this place. I'm a spirit beast with 5 elements. It's understandable that I was teleported to this 5-poison swamp, but how did a human cultivator like you end up here? Could it be that you're not a human, but a spirit beast in disguise? Listening to the Dragon of Five Evils' wild speculation, Lin Yi, who was initially speechless, was immediately amused. He said speechlessly, You're at the Earth opening stage now. Can't you tell if I'm a human or a spirit beast? Originally, I could tell. But isn't there a senior ghost? Maybe he used some special method to make people completely unable to tell that you're a spirit beast? The Dragon of Five Evils shook its big head. Although it was only a broken primordial spirit, it was still very trusting of the ghostly thing, the former Azure Dragon. Alright, then I can tell you with certainty that I'm a human. Lin Yi laughed and shook his head. Seeing that the Dragon of Five Evils was still confused, he explained, The reason why I fell down here is because I was chased by a demonic cultivator called the West Mountain Elder. I had no choice but to escape here. This is the only place where he doesn't dare to chase me down. If it were any other place, I would have been killed 10,000 times. West Mountain Elder? Is this demonic cultivator very strong? The Dragon of Five Evils asked casually. Although it was completely incomparable to an Earth-opening stage being, in its opinion, Lin Yi's strength was not weak. Moreover, he had the help of the ghostly thing. An ordinary expert would not be able to chase him so embarrassedly. He's an evil cultivator at the mountain opening stage. To you, he's nothing, but to me, he's very troublesome. I've already escaped here for a few months, but that guy still hasn't given up. Until now, he still sent people to monitor and guard the top. Once I go up, he'll know immediately, so I'm completely trapped here. Lin Yi paused and looked at the Dragon of Five Evils. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he said, By the way, if I go out and kill those 2 spies, the West Mountain Elder will definitely rush over. Can't you help me get rid of him? He's just an opening mountain elder. It should be a piece of cake for you, right? That's natural. If he dares to behave atrociously in front of me, I'll kill him in minutes. The Dragon of Five Evils said arrogantly. This was not a boast. With its current strength at the Earth opening stage, it was absolutely a piece of cake to deal with the West Mountain Elder. Well, I'll go up and kill those 2 bastards, Li Yanji and Guan Ziyuan. It just so happens that we have some old grudges. Once they're dead, the West Mountain Elder will come immediately. I'll leave it to you. Lin Yi immediately decided. He would not trouble others with his character, but this time, he really had no other choice. Chapter 45-67. Generally speaking, no matter how strong and terrifying the opponent was, Lin Yi would wait until he was strong enough to kill him. However, West Mountain Elder was too much of a hindrance. He could not even return to the North Island. He could only watch helplessly as the deadline was about to pass. Now that he had unexpectedly found a strong helper like the Dragon of Five Evils, it was not impossible for him to get rid of West Mountain Elder with its help. Wait a minute, killing that nuisance West Mountain Old Sect Master is indeed not a problem for me, but... The Dragon of Five Evils hesitated for a moment with a troubled expression, then lowered its head in embarrassment and said weakly, But I don't dare to go up there. Huh? You don't dare to go up? Why? Lin Yi was stunned. You don't know this. Ever since my master, the 5-poison flood dragon, escaped, the vermilion bird has been keeping an eye on this 5-poison swamp. They are afraid that my master will not die, so they specially set up a monitoring formation unique to the Spirit Beast clan. It is specifically aimed at my master. Once this monitoring formation detects the slightest aura of the dragon clan, the vermilion bird will immediately rush over and I will be in big trouble. The dragon of 5 evils said helplessly. Although it was a transcendent being at the earth opening stage, there was still a big gap between it and the vermilion bird, a top elder of the Spirit Beast clan. Even its master, the 5-poison flood dragon, was no match for the vermilion bird. If they really fought, it would be killed in minutes. The vermilion bird set up a monitoring formation? Huh, we are really in the same boat. Lin Yi could only smile helplessly. He did not expect the vermilion bird to be as careful as West Mountain Elder. Lin Yi and the dragon of 5 evils were monitored by West Mountain Elder and the vermilion bird. They were really in the same boat. According to my master, I have not shown up since I was teleported here. So the Spirit Beast clan still does not know of my existence. They only know that my master, the 5-poison flood dragon, is here. As such, before I become powerful enough to seek revenge on the vermilion bird, I definitely can't expose my aura. I can only hide here and cultivate in secret. The 5 Banes dragon looked at Lin Yi with an apologetic expression. It really did have the intention to help Lin Yi, but if the price was that the vermilion bird would notice or even kill it, then it would be too unwise. No matter how impulsive it wasn't that brainless. If that's the case, then forget it. Let the old monster of Shishan old sect live for a while longer. There's still a long way to go. I'll think of another way to get out of here. Lin Yi nodded. If it was just a small favor, it didn't matter. However, if he ended up harming the dragons of 5 evils because of him, he would feel bad. By the way, why did that evil cultivator called West Mountain Old Sect Master want to kill you? Did you kill his father or his son? The dragon of 5 evils asked curiously. Not much different. I killed 2 of his disciples, and one of them seemed to be his nephew, so he chased me all over the world. I had been chased once before, but I got rid of him after I escaped to the interior of the South Island. This time, I planned to go back to the North Island, but I was found by him as soon as I got out of the dock. The 5-poison swamp was the only place nearby, and he didn't dare to enter it. So Senior Ghost asked me to escape here and hide for a while. I didn't expect him to be so persistent. It's been 4 months, and he still asked someone to guard it. I can't get out of here. Lin Yi gave a simple explanation and shrugged helplessly. He had encountered such a persistent enemy like West Mountain Old Sect Master. He was really losing his temper. Alas, it's a pity that I can't protect myself now, and I can't help you. The dragon of 5 evils sighed. It's okay. Who would have thought that we would be such brothers in hardship? I'll figure out a way to get out by myself. Lin Yi smiled and waved his hand. A living person couldn't be suffocated to death. As long as he was willing to put in the effort, he believed that he could find a way. Roar, although I can't directly help you kill West Mountain Old Sect Master, it's not impossible to get out if you just want to get out. The dragon of 5 evils suddenly laughed and pretended to be mysterious. You probably don't know that the 5-poison swamp is not the only exit in this space where we are now. Is there a second exit? Lin Yi was surprised and happy. It was not important to kill West Mountain Old Sect Master, but if there was a second exit that could get rid of West Mountain Old Sect Master's surveillance, everything would be easy. Yes, as far as I know, there is a second exit. The dragon of 5 evils nodded affirmatively. Don't be fooled by the murderous aura of the 5 elements above. In fact, many places are not within the scope of the 5-poison swamp. If you go up, you will find that it is blocked by the ground, so if you want to get in and out of here, you have to go through an exit. The 5-poison swamp you came in is just one of them. There is another way to get in and out of here. Really? That's great. Please take me there and have a look. Lin Yi said hurriedly. Now there was not much time left before the deadline of the task, but as long as he could get out successfully, Lin Yi believed that he could get back to the North Island in time. After all, the spirit bird was a spirit beast of the nascent soul realm now, and its flying speed was much faster than when it came here. West Mountain Old Sect Master would definitely only guard the 5 Poison Swamp. He probably didn't even know that there was such a mysterious and vast space below, let alone the second exit. Therefore, as long as he went through the second exit mentioned by the Dragon of 5 Evils, he could definitely get rid of West Mountain Old Sect Master without being noticed. Well, it's not a problem to get rid of West Mountain Old Sect Master through the second exit, but... The Dragon of 5 Evils suddenly stopped talking. But what? Lin Yi asked hurriedly. But the second exit is not like the 5 Poison Swamp here. Although it is also densely covered with the murderous aura of the 5 elements, you can definitely get out, but it depends on whether you have the courage to do so. The Dragon of 5 Evils looked at Lin Yi and said. What? Is there danger outside? Lin Yi's heart suddenly tightened. He had finally found a way out, and he didn't want to be doused with cold water again. It's not that dangerous. However, just like the Swamp of 5 Poisons, there is a monitoring array formation that specifically targets my master. Although you don't have the aura of the Dragon Clan on you and you won't trigger too much of a reaction from the array formation, you will still be discovered, the Dragon of 5 Malice explained. Chapter 45-68. My master is a great threat to them. Of course they don't take it seriously, or they will lose their positions. The Dragon of 5 Evils curled its lips and said. That's true. But although the exit you mentioned has a monitoring formation, it won't do anything to me. When I came in from the 5 Poison Swamp, I didn't attract any spirit beasts. Lin Yi rubbed his chin and said thoughtfully. It won't, but it's hard to say here. The Dragon of 5 Evils shook its head. Why? Lin Yi was slightly surprised. Because it's the territory of the spirit beasts. It can be regarded as the hinterland of the South Island. The Dragon of 5 Evils said. It had never gone to that exit. To be exact, it had never gone out since it was transmitted here. However, the 5 Poisons Flood Dragon had told it many things before it died. Besides, it had accepted the strength of the 5 Poisons Flood Dragon, which involved the inheritance of the primordial spirit and many memories of the 5 Poisons Flood Dragon. Damn, the hinterland of the South Island. How dare I go there? Lin Yi was speechless. The hinterland of the South Island was a forbidden area for human cultivators. Moreover, he had been noticed by the vermilion bird before. If he showed up in such a suspicious place, he would be courting death. The 5 Poison Swamp might not have been guarded by spirit beasts because it was too remote. But it might not be the case here. This was the hinterland of the South Island of the spirit beasts. It was just a matter of convenience to send a few powerful spirit beasts to guard it. Vermilion Bird's behavior was almost the same as that of West Mountain Elder. Unless it saw the dead body, it wouldn't give up easily, no matter how long it had been. Right, you can't go back to the South Island now. You may have a chance to survive facing the evil cultivator of West Mountain Elder. But if you're noticed by the vermilion bird in the hinterland of the South Island, you won't even know how you die. The ghost didn't agree with Lin Yi going to this exit. It knew the suspicious character of the vermilion bird. If Lin Yi suddenly rushed out from this suspicious exit, he would definitely be caught and his divine sense would be extracted without any hesitation. If that happened, he would definitely be captured without hesitation and his divine sense would be extracted. There was no other possibility. Why? It's dangerous for a human cultivator to appear in the hinterland of the South Island. But with your strength and the protection of Senior Ghost, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to escape. The monitoring formation won't react much to you. As long as you don't get caught by the spirit beasts when you go out, it shouldn't be a problem. You don't know this. Last time when I was chased by the West Mountains sect and fled to the South Island, I accidentally broke into the Spirit Beast conference held by Vermilion Bird and others, and I was suspected in public. I almost got away, and then I had to go to the toilet to escape. Then, I escaped, Spirit Beast. You. Originally, he was just an insignificant person. Normally, even if he was found to be a human cultivator, he could escape, and Vermilion Bird would not make a big fuss about it. However, he happened to hear Vermilion Bird's big plan. If he leaked it in advance, it would easily ruin his plan. Maybe the plan would be aborted halfway. If Lin Yi was in Vermilion Bird's position, he would definitely not hesitate to put himself on the wanted list and kill him. I can't believe it. I really can't go out from that exit. Hearing this, the Dragon of Five Evils looked at Lin Yi again in surprise. It didn't expect that Lin Yi had an encounter with Vermilion Bird. It was really lucky that he could escape unscathed with his little strength. Alas. It seems that God wants me to stay here and cultivate for a while. Since I'm here, I'll take things as they come. Anyway, I can't escape from both ends. Let's cultivate together. We can keep each other company. Since there was no way out, Lin Yi had to accept the reality calmly. That's the only way. The Dragon of Five Evils nodded. Originally, it was the only one in the vast space, which was boring and depressing. Now, it had an old friend like Lin Yi as a companion, which was a good thing for it. By the way, how do you usually cultivate? Lin Yi suddenly asked. He was very interested in the Dragon of Five Evils, which was a super spirit beast at the Earth opening stage. Moreover, the Dragon of Five Evils had 5 elements, just like him. Maybe there was something he could learn from it. Me? My cultivation is sleeping. Before I met you, I was still sleeping. I slept for more than a year. The Dragon of Five Evils' answer made Lin Yi's jaw drop. Sleeping is cultivation? Is there any justice in this world? Lin Yi subconsciously turned his head to look at the spirit bird beside him. He had never seen this fellow cultivate. It just hopped around and played around, and it broke through from the peak of the foundation establishment stage all the way to the original infant stage. As for the Dragon of Five Evils, it was simply sleeping. When it woke up, it could level up. If all the spirit beasts were like these two fellows, then they would definitely be favored by God. In contrast, Lin Yi, a human cultivator, could barely level up a few levels. Compared to these two fellows, he was simply too weak. Even Lin Yi was like this, let alone other human cultivators. They were all in tears. Actually, you don't have to be envious. Cultivating in dreams is an inherent talent of most spirit beasts of the dragon clan. After all, dragons are very fond of sleeping. If you expect them to only cultivate when they are awake, they will not be able to level up even if they die. In that case, the dragon clan would have been wiped out a long time ago. The ghost explained with a smile, "Don't forget that I have been recovering in a deep sleep. Moreover, the Five Evils has received a powerful inheritance from the Five Poison Flood Dragon. If it does not sleep for a long time, it will not be able to digest its strength. That's still very ridiculous. You can level up by just sleeping." If those human cultivators, who can't even level up by taking pills, heard this, they will spit out a mouthful of blood. Lin Yi was speechless. Chapter 45-69. So that's how it is. Sure enough, there are pros and cons. It's impossible to have all the good things. Lin Yi nodded. Opening a window meant closing a door. Otherwise, the Dragon Clan might have been able to rule the entire Heaven Stage Island. Then how do you cultivate? The Pentademon looked at Lin Yi and asked. Me? If it was any other place, the most I could do was to absorb the energy from the surroundings and turn it into my own, but in this place, there's another way, and that's to use the murderous aura of the 5 elements to refine my body. This method is much more effective, but... Lin Yi shook his head with regret. But what? The Pentademon asked curiously. If I want to use the 5 elements killing chi, I can only stand on the high platform and cultivate. But I can only touch the weakest 5 elements killing chi at the bottom. For me, the effect is not very good. If I can go a bit closer to the middle and touch the more powerful 5 elements killing chi, the effect should be much better. Unfortunately, if I let the spirit bird carry me up, I won't be able to protect it during the process of cultivation. Lin Yi helplessly shook his head. That's simple. Your spirit bird can't withstand the 5 elements killing chi, but I can. I'll take you up there to cultivate. The Pentademon laughed. That's right. Lin Yi's eyes suddenly lit up. He had forgotten that the Pentademon could also fly. Moreover, the 5 elements killing chi was not a threat to it. Instead, it was afraid of it. It would be great if the Pentademon was willing to help him. However, Lin Yi still hesitated and said, but won't this delay your cultivation? Cultivation my ass. I told you that for me, sleeping is cultivation. I just slept for more than a year. I have to wake up and relax. The Pentademon curled its lips and said. Then, the Pentademon used an unknown magic power and sucked Lin Yi onto its back. Then, it jumped into the 5 poison swamp and floated a bit above the bottom for Lin Yi to cultivate. As Lin Yi expected. Not only was the intensity of the 5 elemental killing aura here stronger, but the quantity was also greater. Immediately, he found the state he was in when he first started cultivating. His body was undergoing a delightful change almost every minute and every moment. His progress was once again tremendous, which made Lin Yi very excited. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. At this time, the deadline for the task of returning to the North Island had been completely exceeded. North Island, Blue Cloud Pavilion. Lin Yi's residence. Although Lin Yi and Huang Xiaotao were not there, the courtyard was not deserted. Instead, it was noisy. Lu Bianren, Ku Zhongla, Xiao Ran, Xiao Hongkai, and Li Jingming were all sitting in a circle. Except for Shanghai Laner, the special senior sister, Lin Yi's people were all here. Although Lin Yi had not been in the 3 pavilions for a long time, and it seemed that he did not deliberately build his force, the people around him had become a force that could not be underestimated. Now, they had become a force that could not be underestimated. Needless to say, Lu Bianren was a senior figure in Blue Cloud Pavilion. Ku Zhongla had long been the 3rd pavilion master of Welcome Pavilion, and Xiao Ran was his assistant. The newcomers of Blue Cloud Pavilion were completely in the hands of the 2 of them. As soon as they entered the pavilion, they would naturally be labeled as Lin Yi's people. In addition, Li Jingming and Xiao Hongkai, with their superior strength and foundation, had gradually made a name for themselves among the outer core disciples of Blue Cloud Pavilion. Stand firm. The power of Lin Yi's people could be said to be thriving. Every once in a while, everyone would regularly gather in Lin Yi's yard. They would take care of each other and strengthen their relationship. However, contrary to this good situation, the people sitting in a circle at this moment were all frowning. No one said anything for a long time, and the atmosphere was extremely dull. I say, why hasn't Boss Lin Yi come back yet? Did he encounter some trouble over there? Xiao Hongkai finally broke the silence. The anxiety on his face was obvious. No matter how big the matter was, he would not be like this with his hot-blooded character. However, it was related to Lin Yi. Not only him, but everyone present could not hide their worry. Yes, senior brother Lu, it has been more than half a year since you separated from junior brother Lin. Even if you want to hunt down the evil cultivator Wu Baoyang, the matter should have come to an end. Why is there no news at all? With junior brother Lin's strength, he should not be Wu Baoyang's opponent, right? Senior brother Ku Zhongla said with a frown. Even if he is not Wu Baoyang's opponent, with boss Lin Yi's ability, it should not be a problem for him to protect himself. He is not someone who will rush to his death knowing that he is no match for Wu Baoyang. Xiao Ran said with certainty. He had absolute confidence in Lin Yi. He did not believe that Lin Yi would die in the hands of an evil cultivator like Wu Baoliang. With boss Lin Yi's strength, Wu Baoliang should not be a problem. I am worried that he is unfamiliar with the place. If he is forced to be involved in other disputes because he is chasing after Wu Baoliang, or even get himself into trouble, then it will be hard to say, Li Jingming said in a low voice. You can rest assured on this point. The evil cultivator Wu Baoliang has died in the hands of junior brother Lin. This is something that everyone in the South Continent Sea region knows, Lu Bianren comforted everyone. Is this true? Everyone suddenly became spirited, and their burning gazes fell on Lu Bianren. It is absolutely true. A while ago, I asked Pavilion Master Yu to use the internal information channels of the 3 major pavilions to inquire about the South Continent Sea region. There was a South Continent Escort Agency conference held there, and junior brother Lin killed Wu Baoliang in public at this conference. There is no doubt about this, but Lu Bianren could not help but stop speaking. But what? Senior brother Lu, tell us quickly. Before everyone could breathe a sigh of relief, their hearts tightened and they quickly asked. After killing the young one, the old one came out. It is said that on the second day after Wu Baoliang was killed, Wu Baoliang's master, the West Mountain sect master, suddenly came to the conference and ordered junior brother Lin to be killed to avenge his disciple. He is a mountain opening stage evil cultivator. Lu Bianren said with a gloomy face. Mountain opening stage? Senior brother Ku and the others were all at a loss when they heard this. They had not even heard of the mysterious ascension stage, let alone the mountain opening stage. After all, they were only masters of the foundation establishment stage. Above the nascent soul stage is the mysterious ascension stage, and above the mysterious ascension stage is the mountain opening stage. The existence of that stage can dominate an area without any suspense. If he was in our Blue Cloud Pavilion in the north, even if he is not the number 1, I am afraid he is not far from it. Lu Bianren sighed and explained to everyone. Chapter 45-70. If that's the case, could it be that junior brother Lin has already? Senior brother Ku Bai's face turned pale, and he did not dare to continue. The others' faces were ugly, and their eyes were filled with horror and hesitation. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Who cares about the opening mountain period? Boss Lin Yi will never die in the hands of an evil cultivator. Xiao Hongkai roared in a low voice with red eyes. I also believe that junior brother Lin will definitely not die in the hands of the Western Mountain Elder. In fact, although the Western Mountain Elder hates him to the bone and wants nothing more than to kill him, junior brother Lin did not die in the hands of the Western Mountain Elder on the spot. At least from the situation at the grand meeting, he successfully escaped. Lu Bianren nodded towards the crowd. Escaped? Everyone was stunned when they heard this, and then they all breathed a sigh of relief. They looked at Lu Bianren with some resentment and said, Senior brother Lu, can't you just say everything in one breath next time? You made us so nervous, our hearts can't take it. Hee, all right. Lu Bianren smiled apologetically, and then continued, although he escaped at that time, junior brother Lin's situation is still not good. Facing the pursuit of West Mountain Elder, who is an opening mountain period evil cultivator, the result is still not good. If he could really escape successfully, he should have returned by now, but there is still no news of him now. Sigh, with boss Lin Yi's strength and means, I believe he is definitely not dead. He is not coming back now, but he is hiding somewhere to avoid the limelight. He must be dead. Xiao Hongkai said with conviction. Yes, boss Lin Yi is a lucky man. Since West Mountain Elder couldn't kill him at that time, it will not be so easy to kill him later. Xiao Ran nodded in agreement. I think so too. From what you've said, brother Lu, I can see that boss Lin should be a household name in the Nanzhou Sea region. If he really died in the hands of the West Mountain Elder, the news would definitely spread like wildfire, and it wouldn't be as silent as it is now. Therefore, the lack of news isn't bad news for us, but good news instead. Li Jingming said in a unique way. Right, right. Now that junior brothers have said that, I feel much more at ease. Junior brother Lin will definitely be fine. Senior brother Ku Bai nodded repeatedly, paused for a moment, then turned to Lu Bianren and said, That's right, senior brother Lu, now that the deadline for the mission has passed, let's first think of a way to cancel junior brother Lin and junior sister Huang's mission, lest they cause trouble when he returns in the future. And that's fine too. I've met Jia Mufan a few times before. I'll go talk to him tomorrow. With junior brother Lin's status, it shouldn't be a problem. Lu Bianren nodded. No matter what, Lin Yi was a disciple of Shanghai Tianhua. Although there was no news of him now, with Jia Mufan's smooth and slick handling style, he should not make things difficult for such a small matter. While everyone was talking, the courtyard door was suddenly kicked open. Everyone's expression changed. They looked at the door and shouted angrily in unison, Who is it? Oh, I didn't expect it to be so lively here. Why are you guys hiding here so sneakily? Why don't you tell me? The newcomer glanced at everyone and immediately sneered with his nose in the air. This person was born with a golden complexion. His eyes habitually narrowed into slits, and there was an occasional ominous glint in the corner of his eyes. Intentionally or unintentionally, he constantly emitted a terrifying murderous aura, causing people to not dare to look him in the eye easily. Everywhere he passed, people would look at him. Those with a slightly weaker temperament would even be scared away on the spot, let alone confront him head-on. After seeing the person's appearance, the expressions of everyone in the courtyard immediately sank. This was especially so for senior brother Ku Bai and Xiao Ran. When they looked at this person, their expressions became as gloomy as water, and their eyes were spewing fire. There was no other reason. This person was called Ma Daoqiang. He used to be a new disciple of Blue Cloud Pavilion, but of course, he was no longer one. Ma Daoqiang, what are you doing here? Senior brother Ku Bai immediately said with a cold face. Although he was a timid and honest person, he had been the third pavilion master of Welcome Pavilion for a year, so he had more or less cultivated a bit of a superior aura. Moreover, facing this Ma Daoqiang, his heart was surging with anger. It was rare to see an honest person like him so angry. What am I doing here? I haven't asked you what you are doing here. From today onwards, this entire courtyard is mine. Ma Daoqiang sneered. As a new disciple of Blue Cloud Pavilion who had just graduated, he broke into the inner gate carelessly, not because he was muddle-headed, but because he was really full of confidence and had nothing to fear. Like Lin Yi, this Ma Daoqiang was this year's newcomer king, even better than Lin Yi. Now his name had spread throughout the 3 pavilions, and he was deeply valued by the higher-ups of Blue Cloud Pavilion. He had been regarded as the future hope of Blue Cloud Pavilion. All the miracles that Lin Yi had done back then, this guy had done them all. Not only did he do it, but he did it even better than Lin Yi. A few days ago, he had signed up for the inner sect competition just like Lin Yi, and as a mere newbie, he was invincible in the inner sect competition, sweeping all the way, and finally becoming the new king of the newcomers. What did you say? This courtyard belongs to you? Bullshit. Qiao Hongkai was instantly furious, pointing at Ma Daoqiang's nose and cursing. In the past year, he and Li Jingming had been cultivating in the outer gate of Blue Cloud Pavilion and did not go to the welcoming pavilion to stroll around, so he did not have much interaction with Ma Daoqiang. Although he had heard senior brother Ku Bai and Xiao Ran mention it, he had never really taken it to heart. In his heart, Lin Yi was a unique existence. Any random clown who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth wanted to surpass boss Lin Yi. There was simply something wrong with his brain. Now, he actually dared to unscrupulously snatch Lin Yi's residence, especially in front of everyone. This was intolerable. I hate people pointing at me the most. If you dare to point at me again, I will kill you. Ma Daoqiang looked at Xiao Hongkai with a cold expression. His whole body was filled with murderous intent, as if he would really explode and kill at any time. The prohibition of killing between the disciples of the three pavilions seemed to be nothing in his eyes. What? Kill me? All right, there's no time like the present. I've long heard that you, a new disciple, are arrogant and despotic. I didn't expect that hearing about you was really not as good as meeting you in person. Why don't you come and kill me now? Xiao Hongkai did not get angry but laughed instead. Not only did he not put down his finger, but his provocation became even stronger. He was a person with a real temper. Who cared if you were the newcomer king or not? No matter who dared to provoke him, he only had one response: fuck you. Chapter 45-71. Senior brother Ku and Xiao Ran were shocked and they saw this. Their anger toward Ma Dongxiang was even greater than Xiao Hongcai's. After all, Xiao Hongkai had never interacted with Ma Dongxiang before. However, between the two of them, one was the third pavilion master of the Welcome Pavilion, and the other was the senior brother who was in charge of the newcomers. They had been dealing with Ma Dongxiang for almost a whole year. The others might not have had an idea of how terrifying Ma Dongxiang, the new newcomer king, was, but the two of them were very clear about it. Originally, Lin Yi had pushed Ku Bai's senior brother to be the third master of the Welcome Pavilion. That meant that he had a bright future ahead of him. Many second-generation practitioners with powerful backgrounds couldn't even hope to get that position. Moreover, he had a strong helper like Xiao Ran. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he didn't have to worry about anything. However, in reality, the two of them did not have a good time in the past year. Instead, they were bullied a lot. The other newcomers were fine, but the key was Ma Dongxiang. They could not suppress him at all, and they even had to be bullied by him. The situation was just like Meng Jueguang, who was killed by Lin Yi. After all, this kind of thing was not honorable. Therefore, every time they met with Lu Bianren, Xiao Hongkai, and Li Jingming, whether it was senior brother Ku or Xiao Ran, they did not deliberately mention Ma Dongxiang. In their minds, it would be fine after Ma Dongxiang entered Blue Cloud Pavilion. They did not expect this scene to suddenly happen. Ma Dongxiang was definitely not an ordinary newcomer. In terms of strength, he was even stronger than Lin Yi. Xiao Hongkai did not know his background. If she acted rashly, she would be at a great disadvantage. Senior brother Ku and Xiao Ran quickly wanted to remind Xiao Hongkai, but it was too late. This is what you said. Since you want to die, I will be merciful and send you on your way. Ma Dongxiang sneered and looked at Xiao Hongkai disdainfully. After saying that, he didn't make any special movements, but a crack suddenly appeared under his feet. The crack extended to Xiao Hongkai at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. Xiao Hongkai didn't even have time to react. He felt that there was nothing under his feet, and his whole body sank. Only his chest was exposed. As for the lower half of his body, he could not move. Even struggling was an extravagant hope. Watching this, Lu Bianren and the rest of the Clear Cloud Pavilion disciples were shocked, unable to conceal the shock on their faces. Although Xiao Hongkai had only joined the Clear Cloud Pavilion for a short period of time, his strength could not be considered weak when compared to all the other Clear Cloud Pavilion outer disciples. But in front of this Ma Daofa, he couldn't even block a single move, not to mention he didn't even know how this opponent attacked. It was too scary. Before anyone could react, Ma Dang's figure flashed, and in the next moment, he was already above Xiao Hongcai's head. He was only one step away from Xiao Hongkai, and he looked down at Xiao Hongkai with disdain. Even at this moment, Xiao Hongkai still maintained his previous posture, and pointed his finger at Ma Dang's nose. TSK, I heard that you are also Lin Yi's little brother. Why are you so weak? This is too disappointing. Like servant, like master. It seems that this so-called newcomer king, Lin Yi, is only so-so. Back then, Shanghai Tianhua had a whole new level of respect for him. It seems that I really made a mistake. Ha 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 ha. Ma Dongxiang laughed unscrupulously. He was the new newcomer king, and Lin Yi was the previous newcomer king. They were only 1 year apart. Moreover, they were both newcomers of Blue Cloud Pavilion. Naturally, they would be compared in all aspects. This was inevitable. In his heart, Ma Dongxiang. Lin Yi, whom he had never met, had already been trampled on by him countless times. Otherwise, he would not have spent so much effort to break all the so-called records that Lin Yi had set. If not for the fact that he did not have the chance to fight with Lin Yi, he would have challenged Lin Yi a long time ago. And now, although he could not find Lin Yi's little brother, Qiao Hongkai, had taken the initiative to come to him. Ma Dongxiang, of course, would not be polite. Fuck your mother's bullshit. There are only 2 people who can be praised by Pavilion Master Shengguan. One is Ram Jia, and the other is me, Boss Lin Yi. Trash like you is not qualified at all. How dare you say that Pavilion Master Shengguan made a mistake? Humph, you're just lying to yourself. Although Qiao Hongkai was imprisoned and unable to move, the sun would rise from the west if he wanted to make him cower. What did you say? Ma Dongxiang, who was originally proud and arrogant, immediately darkened his face when he heard this. He thought that he was far above Lin Yi in all aspects, but until now, there was still no strength to support Lin Yi's argument. The reason was because of Shanghai Tianhua. In the beginning, when he obtained Shanghai Tianhua's approval, Lin Yi was naturally regarded as the second Ram Jia. Ma Dongxiang, even if he was above Lin Yi in all aspects, even if he was invincible in the inter-sect competition, he still could not obtain Shanghai Tianhua's approval. This was an undeniable sore point. It was the only place where he was inferior to Lin Yi, and it was also the most taboo topic for him. Now that Qiao Hongkai said this in front of him, it was no less than exposing his scars in front of everyone. After being stepped on by him, he still dared to be so arrogant. Did he really think that Ma Dongxiang did not dare to kill him? I said that the grapes are sour because you can't eat them. What? Did I hit a sore spot just like that? Ha 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 ha. Qiao Hongkai laughed incessantly, as if he did not care about Ma Dongxiang at all. Even if he was under someone's control now, he could still laugh and scold as he wished. Lu Bianren, senior brother Ku Bai, and the others, seeing this, secretly applauded Xiao Hongcai's unyielding spirit. At the same time, they could not help but break out in a cold sweat for him. Now that Xiao Hongcai's life was in Ma Dongxiang's hands, if Ma Dongxiang went crazy, they would not be able to save him in time. The consequences would be unimaginable. Indeed, the 3 great pavilions had strict rules for fights between disciples. Unless it was a public battle, killing was absolutely not allowed. Violators would be severely punished. If Ma Dongxiang really killed Xiao Hongkai in a rage, he would definitely have to pay a heavy price. However, he was now a genius that the higher-ups of Blue Cloud Pavilion unanimously valued. Even if the price he had to pay was not small, it would not be to the point where it was unacceptable. Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? A malevolent expression flashed across Ma Dongxiang's face. His eyes turned cold, and he suddenly stepped on Xiao Hongcai's hand. This hand had been pointed at him since he entered the room. Anyone who dared to challenge his bottom line should not think about having a good ending. Crack. The scalp-numbing sound of bones breaking rang out. Qiao Hongcai's face suddenly paled, and he sucked in a breath of cold air. Cold sweat poured down like rain, but he did not make a sound from beginning to end. The expressions of Lu Bianren and the others immediately changed. They could not help but want to attack Ma Dongxiang. Chapter 45-72. Everyone could tell that Xiao Hongkai had broken at least 2 fingers, maybe even more. It's just a few fingers. This is just a small punishment for you. Who asked you to be so arrogant and disrespectful to me, the newcomer king? Ha 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 ha. Ma Dongxiang laughed unscrupulously as he continued to crush Qiao Hongcai's fingers with his foot. He did not use any true qi. He wanted to use this kind of ordinary method to torture Qiao Hongkai bit by bit until he collapsed. However, Xiao Hongsai's performance greatly disappointed him. No matter how much unbearable pain he felt from his finger, this guy didn't even make a sound. He just stared coldly at Ma Duo. Lu Bianren and the others instantly spread out and surrounded Ma Dangshan. If it was not for the fact that Xiao Hongkai was being stepped on by him, they would definitely have made a move. As people of Lin Yi's faction, it could be said that they were bound together for good or bad. They would not stand by and watch Xiao Hongkai be killed. Oh, I didn't expect you to be a tough guy. Interesting. Ma Dang didn't pay any attention to Lu Bianren and the others who were glaring at him. He looked at Xiao Hongkai like a cat playing with a mouse and said with great interest, "I'm actually not that murderous. If you know what's good for you, lower your head and admit your mistake, and sincerely call me grandpa a few times, maybe I'll be happy and spare your little life. That way, people won't say that I didn't give a chance to my fellow disciples. How about it? I'll count to 3. If you miss this opportunity, don't blame me. Call you grandpa? What? You sound like you're ready to join our Qiao family? Ha 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 ha, unfortunately, our Qiao family's threshold is too high. We only accept people and not dogs. I'm afraid you won't have this chance." Xiao Hongkai couldn't stop laughing. He didn't take the other party's threat to heart at all. It would be strange if he was afraid of Ma Dangshan's threat. 1. Ma Daoqiang's expression turned cold, and he used even more strength to stomp on the ground. He couldn't be bothered to argue with Xiao Hongkai, and immediately started counting. Lu Bianren and the rest felt their hearts clench. Killing intent erupted from their bodies. If they were to allow Xiao Hongkai to die in the hands of the other party right under their noses, how would they be able to face Lin Yi in the future? At this moment, everyone only had the same thought in their minds. What bullshit rookie king. As long as he dared to kill Xiao Hongkai. Even if he had to risk being severely punished by Blue Cloud Pavilion, he had to kill this bastard on the spot. 2. Ma Daoqiang continued counting. At the same time, he shot a disdainful glance at the murderous crowd. The trace of mockery in his eyes was obvious. Strictly speaking, the strength of the few present was not weak among the disciples of Blue Cloud Pavilion. However, if they wanted to go against Ma Daoqiang with this little bit of strength, they were simply daydreaming. If these people dared to attack him, he wouldn't mind killing a few more people today. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound. He might as well wipe out everyone in Lin Yi's faction. Let's see who still dares to say that he was inferior to Lin Yi. 3. I've already counted for you. If you want to kill me, hurry up and do it. Don't dawdle here. You're annoying me. Xiao Hongkai curled his lips in disdain. Right now, he was being stepped on by the other party. He didn't have the ability to resist. If it was someone else, they might really be frightened by Ma Daoqiang. Unfortunately, he, Xiao Hongkai, had never known how the word death was written. What was there to be afraid of? Humph, you're really not afraid of death? Then I'll fulfill your wish. The killing intent in Ma Daoqiang's eyes intensified. At this moment, Xiao Hongsai's life was in his hands. Xiao Hongsai's life or death was completely in his hands. He didn't even need to move his finger. He could just send a wisp of true qi to ensure that Xiao Hongkai would die. Don't you dare. The one who spoke was not Xiao Hongkai. It was Lu Bianren, senior brother Ku Bai, Xiao Ran, and Li Jingming. No matter how cautious they were, since things had come to this, they had no choice but to make a move. They couldn't just watch as Xiao Hongkai was killed by Ma Daoqiang. If they couldn't stop him, they could only choose to bury Ma Daoqiang with him and avenge Xiao Hongkai. Otherwise, how would they have the face to face Lin Yi? The killing intent on the 4 of them soared and they launched a surprise attack from 4 different directions. Humph, you're just a chicken and a stray dog. How dare you act so presumptuously in front of me? Ma Daoqiang didn't even look at the 4 of them. He looked at Xiao Hongkai beneath his feet and his gaze grew even more ferocious. It was as if Lu Bianren and the other three were completely beneath his notice. They weren't even worth a second glance. Seeing Ma Daoqiang's fearless attitude, Lu Bianren and the other three were not happy. Instead, they were worried. Without hesitation, they used their strongest killing moves. Although it was a good thing for the four of them to underestimate their enemy, was it really so? What happened next explained why Ma Daoqiang was so dismissive towards them. There was no other reason. The difference in their strength was too great. They weren't even on the same level. Ma Daoqiang used the same method he used against Xiao Hongkai. For cracks suddenly appeared beneath Ma Daoqiang's feet and he appeared beneath Lu Bianren and the other three at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. However, this time, he didn't try to trap the four of them. Instead, a sharp spike shot out from the crack. The four of them didn't even have the chance to react. Speed was the only thing that couldn't be broken. However, the four sharp spikes that were used against Lu Bianren and the other three were formed from extremely concentrated vital energy. At the same time, they were terrifyingly hard and frighteningly fast. This was a method that was made purely for killing people. Not only was it extremely hidden and sudden, it was also extremely effective. Without exception, Lu Bianren and the other three were hit by the sharp spikes at the same time. Although they didn't manage to dodge in time, Lu Bianren, Xiao Ran, and Li Jingming were not ordinary people. Although their strength was far inferior to their opponents, their reactions were fast. When they were hit by the spikes, they barely managed to avoid being hit in the vitals. However, a large piece of flesh was scraped off their bodies at the same time. Fresh blood dripped from their bodies. It was a ghastly sight. In contrast, senior brother Qiao Chang, who was much less talented, was not so lucky. Accompanied by a hoarse scream, the sharp spike pierced through his right thigh without any resistance. His whole body was brought up, blood splattered everywhere as he hung upside down in the air. Because of the intense pain, he struggled. Because of the struggle, the spike pierced deeper and deeper, causing more and more pain. Everyone was so shocked by this scene that they couldn't move. Even the injuries on their bodies were forgotten. The spike was sharp at the top and wide at the bottom. If senior brother Qiao Chang continued to struggle, the wound on his thigh would only get bigger and bigger. In the end, his entire right leg would be broken. Chapter 45-73. From Xiao Hongcai's point of view, it didn't matter if he died, but if he killed senior brother Ku Qian and the others because of him, even if he could live past today, he would live in the shadow of guilt for the rest of his life. Crack. Xiao Hongcai's eyes were bloodshot, and he bit down on Ma Daoqiang's foot like a madman. Even if he knew that his opponent was wearing a cowhide boot, even if he knew that it wouldn't hurt him at all, he didn't care. This was the only counterattack he could make right now. As long as he could make his opponent feel pain, it would be enough. If he could pierce through the cowhide boot and bite off half of his opponent's foot before he died, it would be worth it. Lu Bianren, Xiao Ran, and Li Jingming couldn't care about anything else. They hurriedly endured the pain and charged towards their senior brother Ku Bai, and they rushed to support him before his entire right leg was broken. Otherwise, once his leg was completely broken, even if he could live past today, he would become a complete cripple in the future, and his life would be worse than death. Ha ha ha, so this is Lin Yi's underling? Such a weak mob. It seems that if it's not his eyesight that's wrong, then it's his own problem. Birds of a feather flock together, after all. Ma Daoqiang glanced sideways at everyone's pathetic state, and didn't choose to kill them immediately. Instead, he held his stomach and laughed wildly. Ever since he entered the welcoming pavilion for a year, Lin Yi's various legendary deeds had almost worn his ears out. If it wasn't for Lin Yi's absence, he would have long gone to find Lin Yi to determine who was the strongest newcomer king. But since he couldn't find the main culprit, it wasn't a bad idea to find Lin Yi's underlings to vent his anger. He had wanted to do something like this for a long time, but there hadn't been a suitable opportunity. Now that these people had taken the initiative to deliver themselves to his door, it couldn't be any better. Facing everyone's eyes that were spitting fire, as if they wanted to skin him alive, Ma Daoqiang didn't care at all. Instead, he laughed with great interest and said, "Don't be so nervous. I've said it before, although I have killed many people, my killing intent isn't that strong. Don't worry, I'm in a good mood today, so I won't kill you. However, you can escape death, but you can't escape punishment. I'm going to torture all of you until you're crippled. When that bullshit Lin Yi comes back, I'll have a good look at his expression, ha 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 ha." You. Everyone was so angry that they gnashed their teeth. They were outnumbered, but there was nothing they could do when facing this person. Just now, they had clearly distinguished the difference in strength between them. Even if there were twice as many of them, they still wouldn't be a match for Ma Daoguang, let alone the few of them. Among them, Lu Bianren's strength was the strongest. However, even he wasn't a match for his opponent. As for Xiao Ran and the other Foundation establishment stage experts, they couldn't even withstand a single blow. This was because their opponent, Ma Daofa, was an original infant stage expert. A newcomer to the Blue Cloud Pavilion who had only joined the Welcoming Pavilion for a year was actually a nascent soul expert. This kind of thing could be said to subvert everyone's view of cultivation and life, but this was the truth. Not long ago, during the inner court competition, it was confirmed in front of everyone. It was absolutely true. If not for this, Ma Daofa wouldn't have been able to sweep through the inner court competition that was filled with experts. Even in the end, when he faced a golden core perfected expert from the Soaring Sky Pavilion, it was still an easy kill. As an original infant stage expert, his strength was undoubtedly shown. It was said that at that time, everyone in the venue was shocked to the point of being dumbfounded. For the time it took for a stick of incense to burn. Not a single person said a word. Although once one reached the original infant stage, they wouldn't be allowed to participate in the inner court competition. However, this was only for the official disciples of the inner court. Ma Daofa was only a newcomer at that time, so naturally, he wasn't included. As the bitter senior brother and Xiao Ran sucked in a breath of cold air while enduring the intense pain, they exchanged glances with each other. Their eyes were filled with shock and helplessness. To them, the scene before them was not unfamiliar at all because they had already experienced it many times. Among the people present, since Lu Bianren returned from the South Continent Sea, other than reporting to the higher-ups, he was in closed-door cultivation and rarely had any contact with the outside world. Li Jingming and Xiao Hongkai were both in the outer pavilion. They were also diligent in cultivation and rarely asked about the outside world. Only the two of them had the most contact with Ma Daofa, and only they truly knew how terrifying his strength was. However, in fact, when Ma Daofa first joined the Welcoming Pavilion, apart from being a little stubborn, he wasn't much different from the other newcomers of the Blue Cloud Pavilion. His initial strength was only at the Heaven stage perfected, and they usually didn't see him make any special moves. However, after that, they didn't know what happened, but the feeling this guy gave them was that his strength had suddenly skyrocketed in a short period of time. From the original unknown Heaven stage perfected, he suddenly became a high and mighty golden core perfected expert. After that, he even became an expert of the nascent soul stage. This kind of thing was completely unseen and unheard of. One must know that in the eyes of everyone, Lin Yi was already a freak who leveled up so fast that it made people's hair stand on end. Even so, he still advanced step by step. Even if everyone was shocked, they could still accept it in the end. At most, they would say that this was the gap between a genius and an ordinary person. However, Ma Daofa was different. From the Heaven stage perfected to the high and mighty nascent soul stage, the whole process only took a short period of time. It could be said that there were no signs at all. It was still acceptable to rise 3 levels in a night, but from the Heaven stage perfected to the nascent soul stage, this covered 3 big realms. This wasn't a matter of ancestral graves emitting green smoke, this was simply a mushroom cloud exploding. Any seemingly unreasonable thing must have a reasonable explanation behind it. After senior brother Ku Bai and Xiao Ran were shocked by this scene, they soon found a reasonable explanation like others. That was, from the beginning, Ma Daofa was a master of the nascent soul stage, but he had been hiding his strength for some reason. This was a reasonable explanation recognized by the public, and Ma Daofa himself was non-committal about it. He didn't admit it, but he also didn't deny it, so it was regarded as a tacit agreement. If Ma Daofa didn't say it himself, there was no real explanation for this matter. Everyone speculated about this guy's motive for hiding his strength, but in the end, it was just speculation. However, on the night Ma Daofa changed from the heaven stage perfected to the nascent soul stage, senior brother Ku Bai and Xiao Ran found an extremely unexpected oddity. In just one night, the Soaring Sky Pavilion, Profound Secrets Pavilion, and Clear Cloud Pavilion, the three great pavilions on the northern island actually lost a number of disciples at the same time. The total number of people who died was more than 15. Moreover, each and every one of them was not weak, and some of them were even core disciples who were regarded as the hope of entering the inner court. Chapter 45-74. Although there was no definite connection between these two incidents on the surface, because the time of occurrence was too close, any normal person would feel that there were many doubts. Therefore, after senior brother Ku Bai and Xiao Ran were puzzled, they immediately reported the situation of Ma Dafu to the Law Enforcement Hall and let the masters of the Law Enforcement Hall personally intervene in the investigation. The Law Enforcement Hall acted very quickly. Almost as soon as they received the report, they took Ma Dafu away for investigation. However, unexpectedly, this investigation lasted for half a month, but there was no specific result. In the end, the Law Enforcement Hall Master Ram Jia made the final decision. He said that the 15 disciples of the three pavilions who died that night all died of a unique emergency that had never been seen before. The source of the emergency needed to be further confirmed with the Dan Hall. However, all of this had nothing to do with Ma Dafu. Ma Dafu was just hiding his strength. Other than that, there was no violation of the rules. This was the final conclusion of Ram Jia, so naturally no one would question it. Even though senior brother Ku Bai and Xiao Ran still felt a little strange, they did not dare to question it. Therefore, after Ma Dafu was locked up in the Law Enforcement Hall for half a month, he finally left unscathed. This matter was over, but since then, Ma Dafu changed his previous attitude of obscurity and began to become arrogant and do whatever he wanted. As an unprecedented nascent soul stage newcomer, it was simply a pipe dream for senior brother Ku Bai and Xiao Ran to want to control him with the strength of the Foundation Establishment stage. One was the third pavilion master of the Welcoming Pavilion, and the other was the great senior brother who was in charge of the newcomer. Not only could they not control Ma Dafu, the newcomer of the Blue Cloud Pavilion, but because of the previous report, they were hated by Ma Dafu. They were repeatedly bullied by Ma Dafu to the point that they could not step down in public. It could be said that they were humiliated. The other higher-ups of the Welcoming Pavilion, including the pavilion master Hu Yun, all looked on coldly and did not care. Even the higher-ups of the Welcome Pavilion had such an attitude. Needless to say, the Blue Cloud Pavilion situation was even worse. Whether it was senior brother Bitter or Xiao Ran, their only backer was Lin Yi. Now that Lin Yi wasn't around, it could be said that they didn't even have one person to rely on within the Blue Cloud Pavilion. Not only did the higher-ups of the Blue Cloud Pavilion not stand up for them, they even praised them and stood against them. With such a momentum, he would undoubtedly become the king of the newcomers, especially after he skipped the outer sanctum competition like Lin Yi did in the past and directly displayed his splendor in the inner sanctum competition. It was said that the upper echelons of Blue Cloud Pavilion had unanimously recognized Ma Duanxiang as their future hope, and had even decided on him as the successor of Blue Cloud Pavilion. In terms of strength, the opponent was a nascent soul stage expert. In terms of status, the opponent was the successor of Blue Cloud Pavilion. No matter which one it was, the people present were far from being able to contend against Ma Duanxiang. It was obvious that they had fallen into a completely one-sided oppressive situation. Lu Bianren and the others had no way to deal with it and could only passively take the beating. Looking at your posture, it seems that you have accepted your fate, right? Ma Duanxiang glanced at the crowd and sneered, "How boring." I thought that you would have a bit of backbone, but I didn't expect you to be so tactful. Or do you think that I will let you go just like that? Ha ha ha, don't be too naive. Since I said that I will cripple all of you today, then I will absolutely not give you any discount. Let's just start with the one under my foot. As soon as he said that, Ma Duanxiang exerted a bit of force on his foot, and the crowd immediately heard the familiar yet numbing sound of bones breaking. The hand that Xiao Hongkai had been stepped on had already lost all its fingers. It was very likely that there wasn't even a single finger left. Feeling the inhuman pain that shot straight up to his head, Xiao Hongcai's face instantly turned red, and the veins on his body bulged violently. However, he clenched his teeth tightly and didn't make a sound. His pair of bloodshot eyes stared fiercely at Ma Duanxiang as he spat out each word through gritted teeth. You will pay the price. You will definitely pay the price. If you don't kill me today, in the future, I will return it to you 1,000 times over. I'm so scared. Ma Duanxiang purposely pretended to be afraid, and then laughed out loud. Looks like I said something wrong just now. I shouldn't have said that you are boring, should have said that you are very interesting. Today, I will not kill you, no matter how much you try to provoke me, it will be useless. But I will destroy your meridians one by one. I want to see how you bunch of useless people plan to seek revenge on me in the future, ha 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 ha. Right at that moment, Xiao Ran and Li Jingming, who were not far away, suddenly attacked at the same time. Their speed instantly increased to the maximum, and it was impossible to tell that they had been seriously injured by the earth spike earlier. Once a cultivator's meridians were destroyed, they would become completely useless. They would rather fight to the death than watch Xiao Hongkai become a useless person, and they were even more unwilling to become a useless person themselves. Humph. Seeking death. Ma Duanxiang's eyes were filled with killing intent. Although he had said that he didn't want to kill anyone, but if these lowly ants were bent on seeking death, then he would not be merciful. It was just killing a few insignificant outer court disciples, and in his eyes, it was not even worth a fart. That earth spike just now was just a show of strength. Once he really wanted to kill, not a single person here would be able to escape. And now, he was planning to start a massacre. With a single thought, Ma Duanxiang was about to unleash his killing technique. Xiao Ran and Li Jingming's speed was already extremely fast in the eyes of a normal person, but in the eyes of an original infant stage expert like him, they were as slow as a turtle crawling, weak to the point of being unable to withstand a single blow. With the sudden appearance of killing intent, Xiao Ran and Li Jingming's hearts were filled with alarm. However, the two of them did not stop their movements and continued to advance forward. How could a person not be stabbed in the Jianghu? Even if they were to die, what was there to fear? Lu Bianren, senior brother Ku Bai, and Xiao Hongcai's eyes were bloodshot when they saw this scene. Seeing that the two of them were about to be the first to die, a cool breeze suddenly swept across the field, and without any warning, a figure suddenly appeared. He said indifferently, "Killing is but a small matter. You have no enmity with them, why do you want to cause trouble for yourself, junior brother Ma?" Everyone was stunned. Even the unbridled Ma Duanxiang couldn't help but narrow his eyes when he saw this person's appearance. This person was the eldest senior brother who managed the inner court of Blue Cloud Pavilion, Jia Mufan. With Ma Duanxiang's original infant stage strength, he could treat anyone here as if they were grass. He could kill or cripple them as he pleased, but when facing this Jia Mufan, even he had to restrain himself. Not only was this because Jia Mufan was the eldest senior brother who managed the inner court, but also because Jia Mufan also had the strength of an original infant stage, and was even stronger than him. "Senior brother Jia, these people gathered in my courtyard without permission. I don't know what they are plotting. Shouldn't you punish them?" Ma Duanxiang was stunned for a moment, then returned to normal, and looked at Lu Bianren and the others with a cold smile. Chapter 45-75. Jia Mufan swept his gaze across the crowd and saw that no one was uninjured, especially senior brother Ku Bai and Xiao Hongkai. He furrowed his brows and said, "Apart from a duel, it's strictly forbidden for fellow disciples to kill each other. This is the iron rule of the three great pavilions, and no one can defy it. Junior brother Ma, although you haven't been in the sect for long, I hope you'll keep this in mind. Otherwise, it won't be a good thing for you or the entire Blue Cloud Pavilion. Moreover, they've already paid the price. Going too far is as bad as falling short. I advise you to stop, Junior brother Ma. Fine. Very well. Since Senior brother Jia has spoken, I will give you face and let these reckless ants go for now. However, if they fall into my hands again next time, don't blame me for not showing any mercy, said Jia Xiu coldly. Ma Daoqiang stared deeply at Jia Mufan, then slowly removed his foot from Qiao Hongcai's hand with a sinister smile. Oh right, remember to arrange a duel in advance next time. Gasp. Everyone looked at Qiao Hongcai's hand, which had been trampled beyond recognition, and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Even though they had seen many battles, they had never known that a hand could be trampled into such a bloody mess. At this moment, they couldn't even see the outline of a hand. Qiao Hongcai hadn't made a single sound from beginning to end. This fellow was truly unimaginably unyielding. Xiao Ran and Li Jingming, who were the closest to him, exchanged glances. While guarding against Ma Daoqiang's every move, they hurriedly rescued Xiao Hongcai from the human-shaped pit. Then, they slowly retreated to Lu Bianren and senior brother Ku Bai's side. They were bound by a common enemy. The few of you should leave. From today onwards, this place belongs to junior brother Ma. Don't come here again, lest you bring trouble upon yourself, Jia Mufan said slowly to the crowd. What? This is junior brother Lin's residence? How can he give it to someone else? Lu Bianren and the rest were shocked. They thought Ma Daoqiang was just looking for trouble. They didn't expect it to be true. Junior brother Lin? You mean that bullshit Lin Yi? Ha 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 ha, after disappearing for more than a year, I don't even know if he's dead or alive. How could he have the cheek to occupy the toilet without taking a shit? This is the best residence in the inner sect of Blue Cloud Pavilion. Since I've seen it, it's mine. Could it be that you still dare to have any objections? Ma Daoqiang laughed complacently. Seeing that Lu Bianren and the others were boiling with rage, Jia Mufan couldn't help but sigh inwardly. He signaled with his eyes to stop them and said, "There's an inside story to this matter. I'll explain it clearly to you. You'd better follow me out first." Jia Mufan walked up to Lu Bianren's group and nodded slightly at Lu Bianren. Then, he took the lead and walked out the door. Everyone's gazes landed on Lu Bianren. Now that Lin Yi wasn't here, Lu Bianren was the leader of the group. He could leave or stay as he pleased. If the leader had been Xiao Hongcai, he would definitely have fought to the death today. He would not have hesitated even if he had to die here. However, Lu Bianren was different. He was not so hot-tempered. He was more considerate of the bigger picture. Where there's life, there's hope. It wasn't wise to stay here knowing that they couldn't win. Moreover, if they did that, even Jia Mufan, the eldest senior brother who came to mediate the situation, would be offended. If he offended them, the consequences would be unimaginable. All right, let's go. Lu Bianren took a deep breath and took the lead to follow Jia Mufan. Although the others were unwilling, they knew that this was the best choice. They glared at Ma Daoqiang before leaving. Haha. What a bunch of cowards. Ma Daoqiang laughed smugly at the back. Oh, right. I forgot to tell you that I'm about to become the second senior brother of Blue Cloud Pavilion's inner sect manager. Although I don't take in useless people, I'll leave a few positions for you since you're the former newcomer king's underlings. If you know what's good for you, come and join me. Otherwise, you won't be so lucky next time. Lu Bianren and the others looked at each other. They couldn't be bothered to argue with this bastard. They sneered in their hearts. Next time? Humph, the next time will be the time for you to pay with your blood. The group walked out of the main door with a heavy atmosphere. Lu Bianren suddenly stopped and said to Jia Mufan, "Senior brother Jia, can you tell us what's going on now?" How did junior brother Lin's residents become that bastards? Jia Mufan stopped and glanced at everyone's faces. He sighed and said, actually, junior brother Ma had already taken a liking to this place on the second day after the inner disciple competition ended. He came to me to ask for it, but I rejected him on the spot because it's junior brother Lin's place. What happened after that? Lu Bianren and the others frowned. Since then, he came to me a few more times. But I made excuses every time. I might as well tell you the truth. Although I'm not very familiar with junior brother Lin and we can't be considered friends, he's someone who's valued by both Pavilion Master Shengguan and Pavilion Master Yu. As the eldest senior brother who manages the inner sect, why would I offend junior brother Lin for this kind of thing? Jia Mufan said sincerely. Everyone nodded successively, and the gazes they shot at Jia Mufan had obviously become much friendlier. They were able to discern that he was speaking the truth. Moreover, with his identity as the eldest senior brother that managed the inner court, it was extremely difficult for him to be willing to speak such heartfelt words to them. Needless to say, this fellow really had a way of handling matters. If that's the case, how did it still fall into his hands? Lu Bianren and the others looked at each other. Jia Mufan was the one who had the power to allocate the cave residences for the inner sect disciples of Blue Cloud Pavilion. If he rejected it, would Ma Zhenyang dare to snatch it from him without a valid reason? You might not know this, but junior brother Ma's position in the inner sect of Blue Cloud Pavilion is no longer lower than mine. Many of the higher-ups of Blue Cloud Pavilion think highly of him. He's determined to win this time. He found a few pavilion elders to support him and forcefully put the residents under his name in the Elders' Council of Blue Cloud Pavilion. Therefore, there's nothing I can do, Jia Mufan shrugged helplessly. Damn it. This is too much. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation. If Lin Yi was still here, they believed that even the elders of Blue Cloud Pavilion would not dare to do such a thing. After all, offending Lin Yi was equivalent to slapping Shanghai Tianhua in the face. Even Yu Zhenyang, the pavilion master of Blue Cloud Pavilion, would not dare to do such a thing, let alone the elders. Even at the very least, he would be able to ensure everyone's safety, and they wouldn't end up in such a miserable state. Don't worry, junior brother Lin. You must have faith in junior brother Lin. He'll come back safely. Jia Mufan smiled as he consoled her. That's right, junior brother Lin will definitely be safe, definitely. Lu Bianren nodded heavily. Hearing the two of them say so, the others finally felt a little better. Pausing, Lu Bianren suddenly thought of something and asked Jia Mufan, senior brother Jia, junior brother Lin and junior sister Huang received a mission to capture the evil cultivator, Wu Baoyang. News of Wu Baoyang being killed on the spot has already spread, so please take some time to cancel their mission. Yes, this is my duty. Don't worry, Jia Mufan agreed readily without hesitation. Thank you, senior brother Jia. Lu Bianren and the others nodded gratefully. They thought to themselves, thank goodness this inner sect steward is easy to talk to. Otherwise, not only would they not be able to pass today, they might even have to go through a lot of trouble to cancel the mission. If this kind of mission was left hanging and not cancelled, it would greatly affect the future missions and a series of other matters. It might even affect Lin Yi's long-term development in Blue Cloud Pavilion. After all, strictly speaking, this was a stain that was neither too big nor too small. He brought Lu Bianren and the others to the pill hall. With Jia Mufan's identity, he naturally received special treatment. After all, he was the Clear Cloud Pavilion's eldest senior brother who was in charge of the inner sanctum. He was destined to have a bright future ahead of him. Even though he came from the Clear Cloud Pavilion, no one dared to slight him. The Dan Hall immediately sent out the best doctors to treat everyone's injuries. As everyone only had some superficial injuries, apart from Qiao Hongkai and senior brother Ku Bai, who were more troublesome and needed to stay for treatment, Lu Bianren and the others could quickly return to their respective homes. However, Jia Mufan stayed with them from morning till night. It was rare for someone of his status to have such patience. If it was Lin Yi, it would not be strange for Jia Mufan to do this. However, the status of Lu Bianren and the others was worlds apart from him. Jia Mufan was still able to do this. It was evident that this person was not simple. Even if his nascent soul stage strength was disregarded, his temperament alone was destined to be extraordinary. He would definitely achieve great things in the future. Thank you, Senior Brother Jia, for today's matter. We will engrave it in our hearts and never dare to forget it. Lu Bianren brought Xiao Ran and Li Jingming with him, and the three of them bowed deeply to Jia Mufan. You're too polite. It's nothing. It's not worth mentioning. Jia Mufan smiled. Before he left, he said, there's one thing I hope you'll bear in mind. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. Before Junior Brother Lin returns, don't provoke Junior Brother Ma. With his current status, if he really wants to kill you, to be honest, it would be in vain. That's all I have to say. Take care. The three of them looked at Jia Mufan's receding figure in silence. After a moment of silence, Xiao Ran suddenly asked, Senior Brother Lu, do you think there's a deeper meaning behind Senior Brother Jia helping us so much? I also think it's a little strange. Although Senior Brother Jia has always been smooth and slick, he's still the eldest senior brother in charge of the inner sect. It's fine that he helped us out just now, but he actually personally sent us to the pill hall to treat our injuries. To be honest, even I didn't expect this. Lu Bianren shook his head in confusion. Every action of a big shot must have a deeper meaning, and Jia Mufan was undoubtedly a big shot. There must be a reason for his actions. It's just that everyone couldn't see through it for the time being. In my opinion, Senior Brother Jia has a big plan. He's really someone with a long-term vision. Today, I've learned something new. Li Jingming said thoughtfully. Oh. Why do you say that? Jingming, tell us quickly. Lu Bianren and Xiao Ran were stunned and asked hurriedly. From today's incident, although Senior Brother Jia is smooth and slick and doesn't seem to have offended Ma Daoqiang, I'm afraid he's already made a decision based on how he protected us and especially personally sent us to the pill hall, Li Jingming said slowly. Choice? You mean? Lu Bianren and Xiao Ran fell into deep thought at the same time. Chapter 4577. They're both geniuses who can impress the higher-ups of Blue Cloud Pavilion. When they grow up, they'll definitely influence the overall situation. However, it's precisely because the two of them are so similar that it can't be two tigers on the same mountain. Ma Mufan deliberately causing trouble for us today is proof of that. So, when Boss Lin Yi returns, everyone, including Jia Mufan, will have to make a decision in time to support Ma Mufan or Boss Lin Yi. Li Jingming became more and more certain as he spoke. In other words, Jia Mufan has already decided to support Boss Lin Yi? Xiao Ran's heart skipped a beat. This was a rare piece of good news. After all, Jia Mufan was a truly important figure in Blue Cloud Pavilion. His status was even higher than some of the elders of Blue Cloud Pavilion. Looks like it. Lu Bianren nodded, but then he asked doubtfully, but why would he make such a choice? If he waited for Junior Brother Lin to return, it wouldn't be strange for him to make such a choice. But now that Junior Brother Lin's life is uncertain, isn't he afraid of angering that arrogant and despotic Majua? I think he's betting on something other than Boss Lin Yi, but someone else, Li Jingming said in a low voice. Who is that? Lu Bianren and Xiao Ran asked at the same time. The Soaring Sky Pavilion's pavilion master, Shangguan Tianhua. Li Jingming's answer was shocking. However, when they thought about it carefully, they found that it made sense. Everyone in the three great pavilions knew that Lin Yi had a close relationship with Shanghai Laner. What's more, he was a genius that Shanghai Tianhua had personally appointed. So basically, everyone automatically added the two words Shangguan to Lin Yi's name. This could also be understood as offending Lin Yi was offending Shanghai Tianhua, and expressing goodwill to Lin Yi was expressing goodwill to Shanghai Tianhua. According to your analysis, Jingming, senior brother Jia really has a big plan. But then again, senior brother Jia. If even someone like him can't sit in that position, then I'm afraid no one in the world can. Lu Bianren sighed with emotion. Xiao Ran nodded. Although he didn't say it out loud, they already knew what Jia Mufan wanted to do. Under normal circumstances, a senior disciple who was in charge of the inner sanctum of the Blue Cloud Pavilion would not have any interaction with Shanghai Tianhua, the pavilion master of the Soaring Sky Pavilion. However, there was one exception, and that was when he had set his sights on the position of the pavilion master of the Blue Cloud Pavilion. According to the rules passed down from their ancestors, anyone who wanted to be the cabinet master of any of the three pavilions must pass the decision of the North Island elders, especially the support of the cabinet masters of the other two pavilions. Not a single one could be omitted. Based on Jia Mufan's current strength and status, although he was still far from the position of Clear Cloud Pavilion's pavilion lord, based on his experience, when his strength reached a certain level, it wasn't impossible for him to fight for the position. Jia Mufan was planning for a rainy day. Lu Bianren, Xiao Ran, and Li Jingming left after a long discussion. With their current strength and level, they were still far away from Jia Mufan, let alone the position of the pavilion master of the Blue Cloud Pavilion. No matter what, Jia Mufan's choice was a good thing for them. After all, it was equivalent to having a strong ally. What they needed to do next was to recuperate and cultivate well, waiting for Lin Yi to come back. An eye for an eye. 5 Poison Swamp, South Island. Stepping on the broad back of the 5 Evils dragon, Lin Yi had been cultivating surrounded by the murderous aura of the 5 elements for more than 3 months, just like before. Recently, Lin Yi gradually found that the effect of the murderous aura of the 5 elements on his cultivation was constantly weakening. At least, it was not as fast as it was at the beginning. At the same time, the result of the 3 months cultivation was Lin Yi's strength had successfully broken through from the early stage of the nascent soul realm to the peak of the early stage of the nascent soul realm. He only leveled up 1 level in 3 months. This progress was obviously much slower than before, but it was still very gratifying. First, Lin Yi did not take any elixirs during the process. It was a pure breakthrough, which was commendable. Second, the higher the level, the more difficult it was to make a breakthrough. Naturally, it would take a longer time. This was an eternal truth. For ordinary people, it would take dozens of years for a golden core stage expert to level up. Once they reached the original infant stage, this time span would be more than 100 years. It was normal for most original infant stage experts not to level up for hundreds of years. In comparison, Lin Yi was able to level up 1 level in just 3 months. This in itself was already very impressive. Lin Yi was not a greedy person, but this was a rare opportunity. Merely reaching the peak of the early nascent soul stage was not enough to satisfy him. He had to continue cultivating and continue to break through. However, if he wanted to level up, the murderous aura of the 5 elements in this place was not enough. Lin Yi immediately said to the 5 Evils dragon, "Go up a little more. I need stronger murderous aura of the 5 elements." "I'm afraid that's not possible," the 5 Evils dragon said. "Why? Could it be that even you can't withstand the murderous aura of the 5 elements?" Lin Yi was stunned. However, after thinking about it carefully, he realized that this was not possible. Previously, the 5 Evils dragon was swimming freely in the swamp. Even though the murderous aura was densely packed in the middle layer, the murderous aura of the 5 elements was not a threat to it at all. Instead, the murderous aura of the 5 elements scared it away. "Of course I can. However, even if I go up, it will be of no use to you." The 5 Evils dragon shook its head and said. "What do you mean?" Lin Yi was confused. Right now, he needed even stronger murderous aura of the 5 elements to aid in his cultivation. This didn't even require him to go up to the middle layer. All he had to do was fly up a little bit. how could it be of no use to him? Roar, roar. Even if I explain it to you like this, you won't understand. You'll understand when you go up. As soon as the five evils dragon finished speaking, it flapped its wings and flew up a little bit. Then, it stopped. Although it hadn't reached the middle layer, the murderous aura of the five elements around it was much stronger and more numerous than before. Lin Yi was quite satisfied. However, just as he was about to start cultivating, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. He couldn't help but cry out in surprise, how could this be? Before this, all the murderous auras of the five elements that Lin Yi had encountered, regardless of whether they were strong or weak, were single-minded. Basically, as long as they sensed Lin Yi's aura, and as long as Lin Yi didn't use his primary energy to cover his body, they would immediately attack. Unless Lin Yi escaped or the murderous aura of the five elements gradually dissipated in the process, they would definitely not stop until one of them died. Chapter 45-78. However, when the dragon of five evils brought him up, they all fled in all directions. Even the five elements killing aura in the distance automatically avoided them and did not attack him. Cent Pound, the five elements killing aura, is also intelligent. Although they are not afraid of you, they are afraid of me. So, they automatically escaped. The dragon of five evils laughed. But before, they attacked me. Lin Yi could not help but feel strange. That's because they're too weak, so they don't have enough intelligence. Basically, they're like brainless fools. However, this five elements killing aura is different. The stronger the pressure, the stronger their intelligence, and the more they know what's good for them. After sensing my presence, they naturally avoided me. As for me, I couldn't completely hide my presence here, so I avoided you as well, the five elements killing aura explained. So you're saying that the weaker five element auras were too weak? They didn't dare to attack you, but they dared to attack me? Lin Yi said, understanding what was going on. Yes, that's what I mean. The dragon of five evils nodded. This is really... Lin Yi was speechless. The five elements killing aura was not a living thing, but it had a certain degree of intelligence. Previously, he thought it was very strange and eye-opening. But now, he could only smile bitterly. The five elements killing aura did not need to reproduce. Why did they need such a strong intelligence? With the help of the dragon of five evils, Lin Yi thought he could completely use the five elements killing aura. He thought he could simply cultivate in seclusion here for a few years. If he took a few gathering nascent golden pills, he might be able to reach the peak of the nascent soul realm. Now, everything was just like the moon in the mirror. It didn't matter how strong the five elements were here, or how strong the pressure was, it was useless to him if they didn't attack him at all. If only he could fly, he wouldn't need the dragon to carry him. Unfortunately, this was purely an extravagant hope. What now? Do we still go to that place to cultivate? The dragon of five evils asked. Forget it, let's go down first. Lin Yi sighed. Although the effect of cultivation in that place was better than usual, it was not as obvious as before. This feeling was like a person who was used to riding in a rocket had suddenly become an airship. He could not help but feel dull and somewhat disappointed. All right then. The dragon of five evils nodded and lowered its body to the ground. It had been cultivating with Lin Yi for 3 whole months, and even it was beginning to feel bored. He returned to the ground. Lin Yi's face was gloomy as he sighed helplessly, I can't get out, I can't cultivate, and there's nothing to do in this place. It's really a pain in the ass. He could clearly see the incomparably powerful five elemental killing chi when he raised his head, but because he couldn't fly, he couldn't use it to cultivate. This feeling of guarding a treasure mountain without being able to do anything really made him speechless. Before he encountered the 5 diabolical dragons, even if he couldn't cultivate, he could at least explore this place. However, now that he knew that this was the nest of the 5 poison dragon and the dragon of 5 evils, there was naturally no need to explore this place anymore. Not to mention the fact that he couldn't find anything good. Even if he was lucky enough to come across something, Lin Yi would not be able to just take it for himself. After all, in theory, the owner of this place was the Dragon of Five Evils. Everything in this underground space belonged to it. If it was another spirit beast, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't feel any guilt snatching it. However, he was an old friend of the Dragon of Five Evils. Lin Yi never had the habit of snatching treasures from his friends. Moreover, the Dragon of Five Evils had specially accompanied him to cultivate for so long. If he still wanted to take something from it, he would be too inhumane. Therefore, to avoid embarrassment, Lin Yi simply gave up on the idea of exploring around. Being trapped here without being able to do anything felt like being imprisoned. No matter who it was, they would feel frustrated and depressed. Even someone as calm as Lin Yi was no exception. At this moment, the Dragon of Five Evils suddenly said, "Actually, that might not be the case. Could it be that you have a way to prevent the five elemental killing aura from escaping?" Lin Yi's spirit was instantly lifted. If he could continue to cultivate smoothly, based on his previous progress, it wouldn't be long before he could reach the middle stage of the original infant stage. If his strength really reached that stage, Lin Yi would have enough confidence to face the West Mountain Elder. Although he wouldn't be able to face the Elder directly, at least he would have the ability to protect himself. He wouldn't be in such a precarious situation like before. Especially with the help of the ghostly thing, Lin Yi was confident that he would be able to escape. Perhaps even more. I didn't think about that. The five elemental killing aura is actually more sensitive than any human cultivator or spirit beast. If I completely conceal my presence, I might have a chance to deceive them. However, once I move, there's definitely no chance. The Dragon of Five Evils shook its head. What do you mean by not necessarily? Lin Yi grinned in disappointment. I'm not necessarily talking about cultivation. I'm talking about whether or not you can get out. The Dragon of Five Evils looked at Lin Yi's depressed expression and smiled. Get out? How? Lin Yi's eyes lit up and he asked hurriedly. Anyway, continuing to cultivate here wouldn't have much effect. At this time, if there was a way to get out, he wouldn't have any regrets. It had been almost a year and a half since he left the North Island. Such a long time had passed without him noticing. To be honest, he really missed his senior and junior brothers and was worried about whether they had encountered any trouble. Now you know that there are 2 entrances and exits in this place. You definitely don't have to try the one in the hinterland of the South Island. After all, you might have been blacklisted by the Spirit Beast clan. That place is too dangerous for you. However, I think you can try the one you came in before. After all, such a long time has passed. Maybe their spies have withdrawn, the Dragon of Five Evils said after thinking for a while. Oh, right. Lin Yi suddenly patted his head excitedly. He didn't think of this because he was closely involved in the situation. No matter how cautious and suspicious the Elder of West Mountain was, people always had limited patience. It was already ridiculous for the Elder of West Mountain to send people to guard the Swamp of Five Poisons, a place of certain death, for him to fall into such a place as the Swamp of Five Poisons. Now that more than half a year had passed, they should have given up long ago. After all, they didn't know that there was such a treasure land below, let alone that Lin Yi could avoid the attack of the five elemental killing aura. Chapter 45-79. Is there any other way? Is there a third entrance and exit? Then why don't you tell me directly? Lin Yi hurriedly asked. To tell you the truth, there really is a third entrance and exit in this place, but I have never been to this entrance and exit. It's just that my master, the Five Poisons Flood Dragon, mentioned it before his death. It doesn't seem to have been there, and there is no exact information related to it, so I don't know what the situation outside this entrance and how dangerous it is. Unless you have to, I don't recommend you to take this risk. The Dragon of Five Evils shook its head. I see. That's equivalent to a complete gamble. It's really too risky. Lin Yi pondered for a moment and nodded. After all, this place was located under the South Island, so according to common sense, the third entrance and exit, like the other two, was very likely to be in the South Island, or even in the hinterland of another South Island. If Lin Yi went out rashly, he would be walking into a trap, and the risk he had to take was not small at all. So I didn't tell you before, lest you go to die. How about it? I'm very kind, right? Roar. The dragon of 5 evils laughed. Very kind. Then I'll go to the 5 poison swamp to have a look first. If there are still people guarding it, then even if it's risky, I can only give it a try. After Lin Yi said that, he immediately jumped on the back of the spirit bird. One man and one bird instantly soared into the sky, and almost in the blink of an eye, they came to the surface of the 5 poison swamp. Lin Yi's heart sank as he scanned the area with the goddamn thing's consciousness. This West Mountain Elder still hadn't removed his eyes? This was far beyond stubbornness, he was sick in the head. Lin Yi was about to go crazy at this moment, and he was full of dirty words. But in fact, he really blamed the West Mountain Elder wrongly this time. As he had speculated before, even if the West Mountain Elder was cautious and suspicious, he had already determined that he would die after such a long time. The reason why he didn't remove the spies was actually very simple. He had forgotten, Lin Yi was already dead. This was what the West Mountain Elder was thinking. As an evil cultivator, he naturally wouldn't care about a dead person. Thus, he naturally threw Lin Yi to the back of his mind. He even completely forgot about the spies that Long Kiba had planted in the 5 poison swamp. If the dignified West Mountain Elder cared about these dragon boat escorts who couldn't even be considered as minions, then the sun would rise from the west. Since West Mountain's Elder Sect Master didn't say anything, Long Kiba naturally didn't dare to withdraw his people. To him, it was just a matter of losing 2 escorts. It didn't matter at all. It was even more impossible for him to bother the West Mountain Elder over such a small matter. To Long Kiba, as long as he didn't urge him to find some nascent soul female cultivator, everything would be fine. So what if he sent out a few escorts? As a result, the escorts under him became the unlucky ones. Even though they knew it was pointless, they could only come here on time and did not dare to slack off. They, the minions, were just unlucky. As for Lin Yi, the person involved, he was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. From the complaints of the 2 people above him, he already knew the cause and effect. He almost vomited blood on the spot. They were obviously negligent. In the end, he couldn't move because of a freak combination of factors. How could he explain this? Lin Yi forcibly restrained himself for a long time. Finally, he barely restrained the idea of killing the 2 spies. Don't look at the perfunctory attitude of these 2 people. But once they felt danger, they would immediately crush the sensing jade tablet. At that time, even if the West Mountain Elder had already forgotten about him, he would definitely remember this matter when he saw the jade tablet shatter. With Lin Yi's current strength at the peak of the early nascent soul stage, facing the West Mountain Elder, he didn't have much confidence in escaping unscathed. Even if he escaped back to the 5 poison swamp and left the West Mountain Elder helpless, this would expose the key information that he could survive in the 5 poison swamp. When the time came, the West Mountain Elder would definitely not rest until he was dead. It would be even more impossible for him to escape from here. This was a risk that Lin Yi couldn't take. So after weighing the pros and cons, he could only resentfully ride the spirit bird back down to the underground space. It seems that we can't get out from here. How about it? Do you want to try the 3rd passage? Seeing Lin Yi's unlucky expression from afar, the 5 demons dragon didn't need to ask to know the result. Of course, otherwise we will be trapped here alive. I really have to give it to that old monster. Even an unintentional mistake can force me to be unable to move. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. If the West Mountain Elder hadn't forgotten about him at this time, then it might be possible to remove the spy after a period of time. But now that he had forgotten about it, he wouldn't take the initiative to think about it in the future. Long Kiba and the others wouldn't dare to bother him with such a trivial matter. It was very likely that even after 8 to 10 years, he would still be like this. There was no hope at all. The Five Demons dragon was stunned for a moment. After listening to Lin Yi's explanation, it suddenly laughed forward and back. It lay on the ground and madly slapped the ground with its claws. For a time, the earth shook. I say, can you at least restrain yourself a little? You don't have to show your schadenfreude so vividly, right? You're about to cause an earthquake. Lin Yi squinted his eyes and said speechlessly. If an earth-opening stage existence really let loose and destroyed, the entire space would probably collapse. Just the Five Demons dragon's smile alone caused cracks to appear. It really couldn't withstand its torment. Roar, 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 roar. This is the funniest joke I've heard in 2 years. You're really unlucky, it's too funny. The Five Demons dragon was still laughing unscrupulously. It was obviously a dinosaur, but Lin Yi stared blankly at it, laughing until tears came out of its eyes. In the past 2 years, you've only seen me, a human. You haven't even met a ghost. It would be strange if you could hear a joke. Lin Yi speechlessly cursed for a while. He waited for the Five Demons dragon to stop laughing, then urged it to lead the way to the third entrance. Although this space was vast and boundless, with the speed of the Five Fiends dragon, it could cover any distance in an instant. Although the spirit bird's speed was not as terrifying as the Five Fiends dragon's, a nascent soul spirit bird's speed in the outside world was enough to make one's hair stand on end. After flying for a while, the Five Demons dragon suddenly landed in front of them. Lin Yi thought that they had reached their destination, so he hurriedly let the spirit bird land. However, he discovered that everything around him was the same as before. It didn't seem like there was an entrance at all. Chapter 4580. Could this be? Lin Yi looked at the Dragon of Five Evils. According to the Dragon of Five Evils, its master, the Five Poison Flood Dragon, was the only other person in this space. However, he was already dead. That's right, this is my master's grave. The Dragon of Five Evils nodded. It had been laughing uncontrollably at Lin Yi's embarrassing encounter, but now, it seemed to be deeply sad. This answer was within Lin Yi's expectations. Now that he had confirmed it, he couldn't help but feel deep respect for it. Although he had never interacted with the Five Poison Flood Dragon, it was still a super spiritual beast that had once stood at the peak. This was a form of respect for a powerhouse, especially since it still had such a terrifying aura after its death. One could only imagine how powerful it was when it was alive. Lin Yi sighed inwardly. If it wasn't for the vermilion bird, this five-poisoned serpent would have become the new Azure Dragon Elder. That was a supreme existence that stood at the top of Sky Class Island. But now, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Everything had turned to dust. Why don't you set up a dragon grave for it? It doesn't even have a proper tombstone. How can it rest in peace after its death? The ghostly thing suddenly emerged from Lin Yi's body and spoke to the Dragon of Five Evils sternly. The lingering aura of this place was the reason for the Five Poison Flood Dragon's lingering obsession. In this case, even if the Five Poison Flood Dragon was dead, it would never be able to escape. It could only sink in its endless obsession and resentment for all eternity. This was the most lamentable outcome for a member of the Dragon Clan. Senior Ghost, I also want to set up a dragon grave for my master. However, my master told me before he died that unless I set up a tombstone with the vermilion bird's bone, he wouldn't be able to die in peace. This was my master's last wish. I didn't dare to disobey it. The Dragon of Five Evils said with bloodshot eyes. The ghostly thing and Lin Yi fell silent. They bowed deeply to the Five Poison Flood Dragon at the same time. The ghostly thing then sighed and said, "Fine. Since your master had such a wish, you should work hard in this direction. Don't let it wait too long. That bastard, the vermilion bird, won't be able to be arrogant for long." I promise. I know. One day, I will use the vermilion bird's corpse as a sacrifice to my master's spirit in heaven. The Five Evils dragon took a deep breath and said with determination. At this point, the vermilion bird was already an opponent that the Five Venoms dragon had to kill, whether it was for the Five Venoms dragon or for itself. However, this opponent was too strong and too scary. Even though the Five Evils dragon was at the Earth opening stage, it could only hide here like a tortoise. Only when it was strong enough would the Five Evils dragon be born and make the vermilion bird pay the price of blood. Lin Yi stood to the side and didn't say anything. He didn't have any grudges with the vermilion bird, but if he had enough strength, he would definitely make a move against the vermilion bird. After all, regardless of whether it was that ghostly being or the five malevolent dragons, they would not rest until the vermilion bird was dead. The group stayed at the Five Poison Flood Dragons graveyard for a while before taking off again. With the speed of the spirit bird, they flew at full speed for over an hour. After that, Lin Yi finally caught up with the Five Evils dragon. This place was very far from the Five Poison Swamp, but even so, Lin Yi couldn't find the end of this mysterious space. The vastness of this mysterious space was really incredible. If I'm not wrong, this should be the third exit. Up there should be the third exit, said the Five Fiends dragon as it pointed above. Lin Yi heard this and looked up. The scene was the same as before. It was still filled with the five elemental killing chi. He couldn't see anything different. However, this wasn't strange. Even at the original place, Lin Yi couldn't see through the five elemental killing chi to see the Five Poison Swamp. If he wanted to know what was above, he would have to go up there. Above, where is this? Lin Yi couldn't help but ask. Finally, he found a possible exit. At this moment, he couldn't help but want to give it a try. I don't know. Master didn't let me go up. Even he himself hasn't been there before. The only reason he knew about this place was because of the message left behind by the previous generation's flood dragon. No matter what, one thing is for sure. So, whether or not you want to leave this place, you really have to think carefully. The Five Evils dragon spoke in a serious tone. There was definitely danger. Otherwise, the Five Poison Flood dragon wouldn't have warned the Five Evils. With their strength, they had to be so careful. If Lin Yi was only at the peak of the early stage of the original Soul stage, then the danger would be unimaginable. The West Mountain sect was very dangerous, and so was the Spirit Beast clan. However, the unknown place above might be even more dangerous than the previous two combined. If that was the case, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to cry even if he wanted to. Lin Yi gritted his teeth and turned his head to look at the ghostly thing floating beside him. He wasn't willing to give up just like this. He knew that this place was dangerous, but compared to the other two exits, there was at least a chance of survival. After all, if he went through the other two exits, there was a 99% chance that he would either die on the spot or be forced back. The one in front of him was more or less enough for him to imagine. According to the distance and direction I flew from just now, I can roughly judge the situation above. No wonder the Five Poison Flood dragon didn't let the Five Evils boy go up from here. If it was me, I would do the same. The ghostly thing's tone was a bit complicated. Although the Five Evils dragon was the owner of this space in name, it didn't know the situation above at all. On the contrary, the ghostly thing knew it like the back of its hand. After all, the South Continent used to be its base camp. The entire map of the South Continent was in its head. As long as it knew the direction, it would naturally be able to find the corresponding position on the map. Hearing the ghostly thing's tone, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel nervous. He hurriedly asked, "Above is endless sea." The ghostly thing slowly spat out these 4 words. "Sea?" Lin Yi was stunned when he heard it. He thought it was somewhere like the core hinterland of the South Island. He even thought it might be the territory of a super spirit beast like the vermilion bird. He didn't expect such an answer. Even the Five Evils dragon next to him was a bit stunned. Since it was teleported here, it had never taken a step out. The 5-poison flood dragon didn't tell it much about these things, so it could be said that it knew nothing about the sea on the Heaven Stage Island. I can't be wrong. According to the location, it's definitely not land above. It's the endless sea above, and it's some distance from the South Island. The ghostly thing said with certainty, "You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."